Hello and welcome to the Average Joe's podcast. We are back in the Tucson Tim studios tonight with an exhilarating episode. And on tonight's show, we are going to preview the NFL playoff picture. But first, we got some NASCAR to talk and some college football playoffs. But we got some special guests in the house once again. Johnny Glow joining us from the Wrestling and Whatever podcast. Mr. Jake Keller from Jake's Take.
Merry New Year.
And, of course, Tucson Tim, partner in crime for the last 2 years now, doing
Yes,
this
sir.
podcast monthly, weekly, yearly, whatever.
Whenever we decide to.
Yeah.
Whenever we decide to. Hey,
So-
we're busy, you know?
How's everybody doing on this eventful night?
Doing great, man. How are y'all?
Blessed.
Right now we're in the third quarter of the Broncos-Chiefs game, and if the score holds up, then the Tennessee Titans will officially clinch that number one seed in the
Tennessee
AFC playoffs. So
Titans.
Tennessee Titans, baby. Woo!
hopefully for you Titans fans, that score holds up. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, Josh, I think it just shows really how hard it is to play in Denver, just given the altitude and everything. But it's like Johnny was saying right before we came on the air, you know, when it's a divisional game, it just sort of ramps up that intensity. You know what I mean? Especially, like I said, a far superior opponent in Kansas City, a team that has been middle of the road like Denver ever since Peyton Manning retired. You know, I think it just shows, I mean, really the pride in these divisional games, right, man? I mean, you experienced it with, obviously, Detroit and Minnesota earlier this year.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And don't
Ain't got
forget,
much to talk about either, man.
got to remember, too, Denver's got nothing to play for, so to them this game is meaningless, but
Yeah.
it's a division game. Chiefs are a big rival, so they're playing hard.
Well, also, at the same time, Denver has nothing to play for, but it sounds like Vic Fangio is going to be looking for a job after this game is over.
Yeah, I highly doubt this game is going to change that outcome, but
No.
this is, what, his third season?
Yeah, third season, and they went 8-8 the first year, and it's been all downhill since then.
Yeah, so at this point it's time to make a change, but
Oh, for sure.
Drew Lock's playing quarterback now. I'm sure they're
After Teddy had a concussion and was done for the season.
right. They'll be looking for a QB.
Why do you have to
For
break
another
my
time.
heart like
For another
that, dude?
time.
Well, I mean, I know Pittsburgh is going to pull another Dan Marino and just pass on the guy and have to struggle for another 21 years to find a franchise quarterback. That's nothing new.
Right. Mics keep cutting in and out here for some reason. We haven't used this equipment in quite a long time, so
August was the last time we were down here, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for the PowerPoint to continue going there, but I just realized I had that on. I just shut it off. And don't adjust your screen. We are black and white tonight. I decided to change it up a little bit
Throwback.
Hey,
on
Dale.
the imaging.
Woo!
Is Dale in the house?
Dale's in the house.
Oh, yeah?
All right, let's get into this NASCAR talk real quick. Johnny's area of expertise, of course.
Yeah, let's get
Um,
Johnny's idea about it.
So, John, I'll throw it to you first. The easiest topic of them all, Kyle Larson, NASCAR Cup champion. What do you think?
So I tried, as I told Jake behind the curtain here, that I really tried to watch a lot of NASCAR this year.
Wait, you guys were behind the curtain? I missed that part.
Yeah, we were jerking the curtain.
The steel
And
curtain.
Steel curtain, that is.
we were talking. I was talking about how I wanted to watch it,
Yeah.
more this year, especially during the pandemic. I watched it quite a bit, but for one reason, like Kyle Larson, just every race I was watching or anyone that I missed, I would look to see the results, and Kyle
It was
Larson
always Kyle
pretty
Larson.
much won all
Yeah.
of them.
Yep.
So he was dominant, kind of
Yeah.
Jimmy-esque, if you will.
And ironically, the thing is, and Timmy can relate to this, even though it was the 5-car, it was the old 48 team. It was the team that Jimmy finished his career with, that pit crew, Cliff Daniels, the crew chief. You know, and I think in a lot of ways, I think it shows really, I mean, it validates Kyle's raw talent that he's always had. But I think in some ways it just shows what happens when you put him in elite equipment. And, I'm not trying to throw Chip Ganassi under the bus or anything, but that was
You're right.
That
That's
was
right.
That was a B team basically.
Yep.
And I think in a lot of ways, I mean, guys, like we love great stories that, you know, like have a storybook ending. And I mean, God, you know, to miss 32 races last year, to be indefinitely suspended, and to go out there and win 10 races and the championship. I mean, really, it's a great story. And I think, without a doubt, Kyle is definitely one of the greatest drivers that our generation has ever seen.
And he led the most laps since Gordon in 95.
2001. That was the first year when
No,
NASCAR,
wasn't it 1995?
No, it was 2001. That was the first year when NASCAR had a 36 race schedule.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I think it was about 2,500 laps led on the year, 10 wins on the year. The last time someone had 10 wins on the year was Jimmy Johnson in 2007. So, I mean,
It's wild.
Yeah. And, I mean, really, when you think of it, going back to that championship race, you know, Chase at times looked dominant. Truex, I think Truex was really I think if that race would have gone green, I think he probably could have won the championship. But like you and I talked about, Josh, that day, I mean, by far, Kyle Larson and that 5 team, they were the class of the field all year.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just say what Jake's trying to get to, and this is the easy way of saying it. Put a real driver behind the wheel of that car and see what happens. Let's go.
Yeah.
48 team, 5 car takes him to the championship in his first season.
Yep.
10 wins. I mean, he deserved it. He earned it. I mean, the guy's pretty much won everything he's driven for the last year or
Oh,
so.
yeah.
But,
God, yeah.
it's hard to not pick him as
Is
a favorite for the
Is he
championship.
running Chili
yeah.
Bowl? Do you know?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's running
Dale
the Chili
could tell
Bowl.
us. He's in the chat.
Yeah. He's running the Chili Bowl. I think Christopher Bell is as well. And I think the hack himself, Alex Bowman, is too.
Oh God.
You
Denny-
still hating?
Denny-
Still hating?
Denny Hamlin spoke the truth. You know, he spoke the truth.
All right, so Dale, we know Kyle was the best driver this year. We get it. We have other topics to get to. We could spend all night talking about
Yeah.
this, but
Yeah, we'd be here till 4:20
Well,
in the morning.
Dale, we'll be here. So if you
we'll
want to come
circle
down,
back.
so if you want to come down, Dale.
All right, so in other
Don't
news,
give him any ideas, Tim.
a bit of, I don't know if I'd say heartbreaking news, but just a sign of the times with NASCAR. M&M's, also known as Mars, is leaving the sport after this upcoming season. Longtime sponsor of Kyle Busch and some other drivers in the past. There's also some rumors that Napa could possibly be leaving Chase Elliott and
Really?
picking up Kyle Busch. I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
even know about that.
I'll get to that in a minute, but just your guys' quick thoughts on a longtime sponsor. I mean, we've seen it with Lowe's, Miller Lite, Budweiser. You know, they're pretty much out of the sport as far as a major sponsor goes. So
And that's the point. That's the good point to bring up, Josh, is longtime sponsors in the sport departing. And you mentioned Lowe's, and Lowe's was a sponsor in the Cup Series for 23 years. First with Junior Johnson, then at RCR with Mike Skinner, and then, of course, Jimmy Johnson. And what was different was when Lowe's finally decided that they were going to part ways with Jimmy, Rick Hendrick, and the 48 team, it was because of a new CEO. And from what I heard, it sounds like the new CEO of Mars, just like the new CEO of Lowe's.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah, just isn't into racing as the old one
See,
was.
it's just like
know?
to what Josh just said, like bringing up Budweiser and all the old sponsors.
Yeah.
It's tough to see because this is like just like
Because-
which we'll get to, you know, with football and stuff with Big Ben and everything.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think that we're not going to see an M&M's car riding around.
Or the Mars brand in general.
Right, right.
When you
Woke
think of
Nation.
when you think of Skittles, when you think of Snickers, I mean, they were around in the Cup Series since 1990.
yeah.
Right.
So
If I'm
here's
not
my
mistaken,
question.
Kyle had Skittles on the car when he won the Brickyard, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, 2 years in a row,
Yeah.
actually.
So here's my question for you guys: since they're getting rid of all these sponsors, or the sponsors are just simply not renewing their
Not
whatever
renewing
the
contract.
sponsorship that they have with
Well,
them.
like
Where-
I
that
said,
was my question. Yeah.
yeah, Johnny. Like I said, I think more than anything, I think it's just that having new CEOs that really aren't into racing like the old ones were.
Here's my question though: is since these guys are kind of leaving, what does that open up for everyone else to?
Like who else can get in?
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's a sign of the times. I mean, if you look at the series in general, last year they went to the 4 or 5 sponsor model with Coke and Monster and Geico and all this.
Yeah,
No-
Xfinity too.
I mean, even Denny Hamlin, who's for years had FedEx in the car for a whole season, you know, all of a sudden OfferPad starts showing up.
The
And
Sport Clips.
I mean, you're not
yeah.
going to see any drivers these days, no matter how good they
No.
are, have one sponsor for the whole season. It's just, you know, with the price of inflation and, you know, different
How
sponsors.
how
right
much
in,
it costs for
it's
a
not the
sponsor.
NASCAR that we grew up watching and loving.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I hate to say it,
absolutely
but
not.
that's where we're at.
Well, I think even Brandon Ultra even talked about it to me one time. The Budweiser sponsorship, when they sponsored Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 2000, his rookie season, they were probably spending about $30 million a year sponsoring that 8 car. And I think by the time that they moved on to Casey Kane or Kevin Harvick, it was just down to about $10 million a year.
But at that time,
Yeah.
he's you're
it was-
you're getting wins. You're getting top 10s. You're getting top 5s.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you said, as new drivers come around, they're not as successful at the start, and then it doesn't pan out the way they want it to. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
paying a little bit less for sponsorships, but
And by the way, Dale did comment and say that Kyle's better than Jimmy. And I actually agree with him from a talent standpoint, but I'm not going to put him up on that pedestal until he gets a couple more championships.
Exactly. And it's
Couple
almost
more
kind of like the
years.
same thing with Chase Elliott. You know, that when Kyle won all these road course races this past year, and everyone's like, oh, is Kyle the new road course king? Is Kyle the new road course king? That's just 1 year. I want to see it 2022, 2023, 2024 before we crown him.
But to your point, Jake, that was the most impressive thing for me because we always know that Kyle Larson runs good at the Michigans and you know, the tracks where you could run that high line, the homesteads and the rough tracks and
Yeah.
whatever. But
Darlington.
to win
yeah.
all those races on the road course where we never really saw him have success before,
No.
Ganassi or not, that just spoke volumes to me
Yeah.
of what a talented driver he really is.
When Kyle was at Ganassi, when it came to road courses, they would always qualify well, but they would fade in the race.
Right.
And, yeah, I know we didn't have any qualifying this past year, but that's the thing, man. To be so dominant at those road courses, to be so good at Martinsville as well, a track that he struggled badly at when he was with Ganassi.
Right.
Definitely
Absolutely.
makes a difference.
Now, I'm going to take that next point with a grain of salt because it's one of those NASCAR rumor mill Facebook things. But I did see an article, and Dale saw it as well. We talked about it, where there was a slight rumor that Napa may be switching hands and jumping from Hendrick to Kyle Busch. Now, my only
was shocked.
speculation to that point could potentially be that with Chase Elliott's early success, he might be getting to the point where he's unaffordable for some of these sponsors. I mean, maybe he's getting cocky and saying, hey, you don't pay us $20 million a year, we're not putting you on the car.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I could think of. And Kyle being on the back end of his career, as talented as he is, you know, M&M's is a big sponsor. I mean, he's on the car most weeks for those guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, with what you just said right there, it's towards the end of his career. This is usually when a lot of those guys do a lot better. For example, like Earnhardt, when he was, you know, how old was he before he passed away?
He was 49.
And he was crushing it before then. So it's like, don't give up on racers
Yeah.
just yet.
Like, to
Yeah.
your point, Johnny, he was 2 months away from turning 50 years old, and he was the favorite for the 2001 championship.
Insane.
Yeah.
Well, just to clarify, when I said Kyle's on the back nine of his career, what I meant was he's maybe going to race for 10 more years, if that.
Yeah. I think
That's still a long time yet.
Kyle is going to be 37 years old May 2nd, and he made his first full season in NASCAR was 2005. So, I mean, 17 years. And I guess on average, a Cup career probably is about maybe 20, 21, 22 years. So, yeah, obviously, like you're saying, definitely the back end of his career.
Absolutely.
But, he's still competitive. I mean, God, we saw him win Pocono without a clutch,
Yeah.
you know?
Now, I don't want to get too political with this next point, but,
Oh, God.
you know, of course, the whole Brandon Brown saga started at Talladega last year in the
Yep.
Xfinity race when, not his fault, obviously, but the reporter mistakenly thought that the fans were saying, let's go, Brandon, and it was something else.
Oh, yeah.
Mistakenly.
Unfortunately, NASCAR has denied his only sponsor for the year, which was the LGB coin sponsor. I feel bad for the team. I saw a tweet earlier today where they're going to allow some off-track stuff to happen, but he's not allowed to have it on the car or the fire suit. So, unfortunately, for Brandon Brown, I don't know what this means for his career this year.
Now, this is another thing I was going to bring up, too. I saw this bullet point, so I was going to circle back to it. But in regards to M&M's, a.k.a. Mars, moving on, now, since all these sponsorships are going to be going away or they're not going to be renewing because maybe NASCAR is not the in thing to do right now, does this open up doors for, like, let's say, and I'm going to throw it out there, but like Jay-Z or P. Diddy to spend their millions of dollars and then
Well, you've
have
already
their
got
own.
Pitbull with
I was going to
Trackhouse.
say, yeah, you already got Pitbull sitting in there.
So instead of having like
Michael Jordan.
Eminem's car, you're gonna have a Jordan car.
That's
with
not far off.
Yeah, that's
So
coming
Because
up.
they have two cars now, so they're going to be looking for sponsorships.
I think NASCAR is in for like a new look coming soon, where it's gonna be instead of having Budweiser on the car, you're gonna see, you know, Young Money.
Beats by Dre.
Young Money driving the 8.
You know what? And if you follow the tea leaves on this, they're not catering to us guys that they know are going to watch NASCAR regardless. We've been around the sport for 20, 25 years. They're trying to attract the newer, younger millennials that are not really into the sport.
Yeah.
And they implemented the stage racing to break the races up. Now they're implementing the sponsorship. You got Michael Jordan, who everybody knows, Pitbull, who everybody knows, getting into it.
He's
So
Mr. Worldwide.
Because I
Right,
think
Mr.
because
Worldwide.
years ago, I
Fireball.
think Fireball. I think years ago it was, you know, when you were a kid, not us, maybe like when our parents and uncles and stuff were kids, they got into it because of their fathers or their uncles, and that's, you know, and then it transitioned to us, where our family did the same thing. So that's why we like it. But now it's to the point where it's not like that this generation. It's not fun for them because you know how many people. I could turn left all day long, but it's not just about turning left. The engineering and the aerodynamics of it is like it boggles your mind. Even Pitbull said it in an interview. He's like, I never even thought of how much had to go into racing.
The pit crews, too. I mean, look at that pit stop at Phoenix that won the championship for Kyle Larson, 11.8. You go back and you watch a race from, say, 1997. Back then, in a 16, 17 second
15 or
pit stop,
15 or
that
16.
was the normal back then.
Yeah. That was fast.
So yeah, and that's the thing, like pit crews as well. And those pit crews, they have to be in tip top shape.
They're absolute
too, Tim.
athletes,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I mean, say what you want about Bubba Wallace, rain shortened or not, he won a race in his first season with that
Exactly.
new 23XI team. So I'm not saying that's going to propel him to a championship next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the chase.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kurt Busch,
Oh yeah,
he is.
he already took laps around Atlanta, so he's ready to go.
He took laps around Atlanta. He took laps around Charlotte, and when he tested at Charlotte, he was one of the fastest cars there.
Yeah, and I was always a big fan of Atlanta because of the worn-out surface. But I'll tell you what, that new banking, the new paved surface, I think that's going to be a game changer for that racetrack.
28 degrees, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've always seen the Kevin Harvicks of the world and whatnot check out on the field there, but maybe this brings the pack closer together with
Yeah.
this new car.
And what's so great about Atlanta, like you said, when Kevin dominated Atlanta, it was right around the bottom. When Tony Stewart dominated Atlanta, it was right around the middle. You get someone like Dale
Larson.
Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Larson, Harry Gant right up against the wall. That's what makes Atlanta so great. But obviously, with it being repaved, it's going to be a one-groove racetrack.
Indeed.
To start off with.
So, Johnny, I'll defer to you on this next one here. Unfortunately, your boy Matty D is not going to be cup racing this year, at least not right away. Signs a one-year deal with Rackley WAR Truck Series Racing for 2022. Me personally, I feel like that's probably his best move. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know much about this stuff, but Jake tagged me in something on Twitter that I was reading up on, and I think it's going to be better for him. And also, believe all you guys talked about how truck racing is more exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Even Dale
I'm not
himself.
willing to go there myself, but I get what they're saying. I'm
think
just not
so.
willing to go there.
I think so.
But I think this will definitely get me to watch him more because I really liked Matty D. I follow him on like all social media platforms, and
Yeah.
he seems like a stand-up dude. So
He is a very genuine person, and he loves what he does for a living. And but as we all know, sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
can love it, you can be passionate all you want, but without top 10s, top 5s, wins,
Without wins,
it's going to
yeah.
be.
We've
gonna be
talked
tough.
about it on the show before. I mean, the guy puts his heart and soul into his
Mhm.
racing career, but at the same time, the pity parties after he loses
Yeah,
these races.
he's an old school. He's got
it
an
got
old
old.
school heart, but
Yeah.
he tries to play it off too
he's
much.
got a
like
millennial attitude.
that. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
pretty much.
Had the 21 Wood Brothers car for the last couple of years, a car that we've seen in Victory Lane with Ryan Blaney and whatnot. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it was time
Gotta
for a
win.
change there. You got
Yeah.
some young talent up and coming that's going to revitalize Team Penske, supposedly. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens there.
I mean,
but
it does suck because he has had the shot to get the win, but
Yeah.
Now I'm
something
gonna
always happens.
compare him to a racer that I remember back in the '90s, and Jake, maybe you could back me up on
Okay.
this, but he gives me that Ernie Irvan feel. That he doesn't win races, but he does well. But he doesn't have that Ernie Irvan-esque type
That's
of
the thing,
feel,
'cause-
but racing-wise.
Yeah, because Ernie dominated a lot of races in the 90s, but honestly, Johnny, he was like the original Ricky Bobby. It was checkers or wreckers. There was no other way around it. You know,
Right.
he was...
Well, let's not forget, too, John Hunter Nemechek made the same move last year, and it paid off big time for
Yeah.
him. He almost won the championship in
Yeah.
the Truck Series.
Oh, yeah.
It was
And I
good
said
for
it
him.
at the time. It was a great move for him. I think this is a great move for Matty D, and it could resurrect his career for all we know. Granted,
Yeah.
he's a little older than John Hunter. He's got some years on him.
Yeah.
But that could work to his advantage. I'm not really sure how good this team is, but
Yeah, so the 25 team, it's a Chevy team, and they get their trucks from GMS. But
that's a good sign.
yeah, but really the only one that really got the most out of that truck last year was Josh Berry.
Yeah.
And Josh, and like I said, on any given day with those trucks, it was maybe a top 10 or top 15. That was about it. Now, of course, obviously, you go to Daytona or Talladega, pretty much anyone has a chance. Anyone has a chance, obviously. But
We'll get to that.
But yeah, honestly, I would have to say truck-wise, John Hunter, I was shocked he didn't win the championship last year, but I'm definitely picking him this year.
Oh, he's the favorite for sure.
Oh, yeah. Kyle Busch Motorsports. What else can you say?
Right. A little bit of news that broke a couple days ago that I did not personally expect, but Ryan Preece was added as a substitute driver for Stewart-Haas Racing. He's also going to do their sim, and he's going to run 12 races this year. So here's a guy that, I think it was, 2 years ago where he had that string of last-place finishes in 3 straight races
Yeah.
or whatever it was. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall for him. It was time to move on, but, JTG's a struggling team to begin with.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the way I look at it is, so JTG, they're the satellite team for Hendrick Motorsports. But the 47, that's their bread and butter, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Right.
So here's the reason why Ryan has this deal with SHR. What management company is he signed to?
I have no clue. Kevin Harvick's?
Kevin Harvick. So think about this. You do
It's
the
a way
math.
not to have a clue there.
So you do the math for a second. So obviously he's part of Kevin Harvick's management group. Kevin just turned 46 years old. He has 2 years left on that contract. Maybe, just maybe, he's waiting in the wings to take over that 4 car in 2024 because when Kevin was on the Dale Jr. download right after Thanksgiving, originally he planned on retiring at the end of 2021.
Yeah.
So honestly, and
After the year he had last year, though, that changed quick.
yeah, but you know what though? I've honestly, Josh, I have a good feeling he's going to bounce back
He
this
will.
year, just with the next gen car and everything. And Kevin said how much harder these cars are to drive.
Yeah.
He said it reminded him of the cars early on in his career, like 2001, 2002. So I think he's going to bounce back this year.
Well, I mean, hell,
But-
it won't take much to win a race, and it's already better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I think that's the thing. I think he's waiting in the wings. And honestly, I was looking on Twitter, and to a degree, someone had a valid point. This was the same step that Alex Bowman took back in 2016.
Your
He
boy.
was. Let's stick to the subject here. Anyway,
He had a good season, you got to admit.
blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Anyway,
Right, Dale?
don't encourage him. But my point is, so back in 2016, Alex was the sim driver for Hendrick Motorsports. He was only doing 9 races for Junior Motorsports. So obviously just doing a couple races here and there. Dale Jr. gets a concussion, and sure enough, the opportunity comes right then and there. So, and of course, it was Greg Zipadelli. Greg had a good point. We're still, this COVID thing, we're far from out of the woods. So if Kevin, Eric Almirola, Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, if one of them comes down with COVID, there's Ryan Preece to drive the car for them.
Yeah, and for my money, Amarola and Custer should be on the hot seat this year. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, Amarola doesn't even deserve that ride, but that's
yeah.
beside the point.
Well, I
I've
mean,
been saying that for years.
Cole is never going to be on the hot seat because his dad's general manager.
Yeah, that's the problem with those two guys. I mean, with the Smithfield sponsorship dollars that Amarola brings, especially when it's hard to find those guys, and then, like you said, with Custer's ties, it's tough. But
Yep.
All right, looking ahead as we wrap this NASCAR segment up to the 2022 season, a lot of changes coming. It's not just the new car, but we got the Clash at the Coliseum. Daytona's a little over a month away. We got some exciting NASCAR stuff coming up here quick, but I don't know. What do you guys, Tim, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think about this upcoming season? I mean, your guy, year under his belt, struggled quite
Yeah.
a bit last year, but towards the end of the
I
season,
expected it. I
a
think
couple
we all
good
expected
finishes.
it. Yeah, I mean, Stuart Haas has been struggling for a while. I think Chase Briscoe himself, I don't think we're going to see a big season out of him again. I think he's still. I said it last year. I think he should have stayed down in Xfinity. Maybe another year, maybe 2.
yeah.
Get another win under him here and there, but I think we always got to look at, for this season coming up, Kyle Larson is obviously going to be on everybody's top 5, top 3, top 2, whatever you want to say. But I think it's going to be an interesting season just because of the next-gen car. I'm curious to see, because I didn't do a lot of research on a next-gen car, but I'm curious to see how that's going to factor into the different tracks that they're going to be using.
Right.
Well, I'm going to put a positive on it for you, Tim. Now, obviously, anytime you're a rookie in the Cup Series, you're going to struggle. There's no other way around it. But I think part of the reason that Chase struggled, no practice, no qualifying, you don't really get to test that much. And with this next-gen car, it levels the playing
For
field.
everybody.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I do expect Kyle Larson to go back-to-back.
Yeah.
I really do. I think Cliff Daniels, that 5 team, I think they're the next dynasty. But the thing is, when I saw the next-gen tests at Charlotte right before Christmas, and I saw really those cars are hard to drive. 670 horsepower, 4-inch rear spoiler. And really, the Xfinity cars, it's sort of the same way. 650 horsepower, small rear spoiler. Obviously, we saw how dominant Chase was with that package back in 2020. So I think with the testing, I think the fact that practice and qualifying is coming back, yeah, I know practice is going to be very, very short, like 15 minutes.
Yep.
I think that he'll improve this year. I mean, hey, we saw the Indy road course. You know what? Honestly, I wish I had been watching that race with you and Laura
Yeah.
when he spun Denny Hamlin
Yeah.
out and they were bitching
Yeah.
after the race was over.
Oh, yeah.
So I do think that there will be some improvement, though.
Yeah.
So for you two, Larson goes back to back.
Back to back
I don't think he'll go back-to-back. I think he will get
to the Final Four.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But are we picking who
Yeah,
we think's
just
gonna
throw a
win?
person out there.
Okay.
Oh God, yeah. Go to Johnny. Let me
I'll
take a
give
few
you
minutes
mine
to think
quick. I
about
think it's Truex next year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
After
picking.
finishing second this past
Yeah.
year.
I was thinking that too.
And I think he retires after this.
it.
Well, 1 year. I was gonna say
Yeah.
he only signed a 1 year deal,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be 42. So,
So that's my pick, a walk-off for Truex.
and Ty Gibbs is waiting in the wings, and I've been saying it. Ty is gonna take over the 23 or in 2023 gonna take over the 19 car. So,
What do you think, John?
So Truex came to mind too when you mentioned him. But another guy that I was thinking about was who's driving the 24 right now, Billy Byron.
Willie B.
He definitely came
I think. Oh, sorry.
up. No, go ahead. I was
I was
just going
gonna
to say he had a nice season.
Yeah, and then from watching the races I did watch, he was absolutely crushing it.
Mhm.
I think if I was to throw a wild card out there, I would say him. Eric Amarola too. I think you're gonna see if you're gonna think of one of those racers that is just gonna come out of nowhere, maybe him. But I think William Byron. I think he's in for a really good season.
Yeah.
Considering how he raced last year.
Well, that's the thing. This new car, like Jake was saying, is the equalizer. I mean, you could see somebody out of left field win this thing.
See Michael McDowell win it.
yeah.
Right.
Back-to-back Daytona
But-
wins.
All right.
But if I was
Yeah.
a betting man and I was betting on DraftKings or something, Kyle Larson, absolutely,
yeah.
it's easy money.
Right. Young money.
Young
right.
money.
Hey, who knows? Jay-Z might sign him for his car.
Just because of that, yeah.
So the funny thing is, Johnny, that is my dark horse as well for 2022. Is Sean Rosansky's boy, Willie B.
Yeah.
Woo! Because here's the thing: when I look at that schedule to finish out 2022, a lot of great tracks for William Byron. Look at how dominant he was at Miami. Sure enough, that's back in the playoffs where it belongs. Look at how good he's been at the Roval the last few years. He was honestly going to win the Roval until Tyler Reddick punted him.
Yeah.
When I look at that, when I look at, like I said, at Vegas, at Martinsville, so many good tracks, and they're right at the very end of the year, I have that feeling that he's going to go off on a tear, and he's going to make it to the Final Four. But obviously, I have Kyle Larson going back-to-back. And honestly, I have to say Denny Hamlin, at this point, I think that he'll make it again. But I'm really starting to feel like he's going to finish his career without a championship.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hate to say it, but I think his chances of winning the title
Yeah.
are past.
Oh, yeah.
What about Chase?
He'll be there.
The funny thing is, that's my Final Four. It's Larson back-to-back, Chase, Byron, Denny Hamlin. So think of that. 3 out of the 4 Hendrick cars. Who's the only one that doesn't make it?
Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
What about Harvick? Is he done?
No, Kevin, like I said, I think Kevin is going to bounce back this year. I see him winning a couple races, and I think late in the year or early 2023, he'll announce that 2023 will be his last year. And I'll tell you what, and I'm not saying this to be a homer, but honestly, Josh,
Oh God.
I'm getting no. Do I have him in my Final Four?
Be realistic, Jake.
Okay, I don't have him in my Final Four.
Okay.
I don't have Brad in my Final Four.
I thought you were gonna
But-
say Bowman.
Bowman's not even going to finish in the
He
top 10
he
of
feels like
points.
puking right now just for thinking about it.
I do. So, anyway, on a personal note, as I'm sure that you saw and everything, 3 days before Christmas, Brad Keselowski's dad passed away. And the way I'm tying this in is he wrote in a notebook his goals for 2022. And this is what he wrote. He said, obviously, to win his first race with RFK. He said to win the Daytona 500 or Michigan.
There goes
Obviously,
Tennessee's chances of clinching the 1 seed.
what's that?
I said there goes Tennessee's chances of clinching the 1 seed.
Oh yeah. So anyway,
As Nick Bolton rolls down the sideline with a
So-
pick six.
his goals for 2022: win my first race with RFK, win the Daytona 500 or Michigan, his home track, get himself and Buescher into the playoffs, and he wrote finish in the top 5 in playoffs.
Yeah.
And finally, the last goal that he wrote was make my dad proud, which honestly, I think he made his dad proud long before he passed away. So I think with Brad, originally my prediction for his first year with the 6th team, it was 1 win in the round of 12. I'm going to say 2 wins in the round of 8.
Tim, you're up.
So I think
I won't hold you to it.
I have actually multiple drivers, but I think the biggest name I think is Ryan Blaney.
Yeah.
He did some crazy things last year that you can't pass up. He was I don't want to say dominant because he really wasn't dominant.
But he had a breakout season.
But it was one of his better seasons of his
finally
career.
won more than one race on the
Yeah.
air.
And don't forget, for better or worse, big shakeup at Penske this year.
So I think,
yeah.
So I think he's going to be a top 4 or Final 4.
And he came so close to making the
Right.
Final Four this year.
Yep.
And the thing is, when I look at Ryan, new crew chief, Todd Gordon retired. He has Jonathan Hassler, who was Joey Logano. He worked with Joey Logano. He worked with Brad. He was their engineer. And that's the thing. Brad's gone, so he's not the lead guy anymore at Penske. And Ryan said that once he realized that Brad was going to be leaving Penske, Ryan said that he wanted to take on more of a leadership role because everyone is expecting Joey Logano to be the leader of Penske. God bless
Well,
him if
who-
anyone thinks that.
And
But-
that's who my second person was Joey Logano for
Oh.
this year.
But that's the thing. I think that himself and Blaney, I think that they will be contenders.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll definitely have a shot at the Final Four.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, Cindric's got massive shoes to fill there in that
Oh,
2
yeah.
car.
Oh
so
yeah. Well, that's another one. I mean, he is talented, but sure enough, his dad is the team president.
yeah.
Here's my question for you guys, the seasoned vets of NASCAR. Is there any new racers that's breaking into the scene at all?
Well,
Well, Cindric and Cup, Burton.
Ty Gibbs, even
Yeah.
though he hasn't made
Has
it
he
yet,
moved
he's
up?
going
Yeah, I
to
was going to say he hasn't moved up yet, right?
be no.
I think
but
that kid's going to be the next
Oh,
Kyle
he'll
Busch.
be
I'm
Any
telling you right
rookies?
now.
Amazing.
So they're rookies then, really much?
Yeah.
Cindric is a rookie. I'm trying to think who
You might as well
else.
pencil Cindric in for Rookie of the Year now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, when it's Cindric and Todd Gilliland, he's definitely a shoo-in for rookie
Unless
of the
he
year.
has a slur or something like that.
Yeah. yeah.
I mean, don't be surprised to see Burton contending in that 21
Oh yeah,
car. I could
Harrison
see
Burton.
that.
I forgot about him.
I could see
Obviously a relation to Jeff, right?
That's
Yeah.
his son.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah okay.
that. How many career wins did Jeff have, Jake?
He had 21.
You think
Yeah.
Harrison tops that or no?
I don't think he'll top it,
I
but
don't
I
see it
think,
either.
but I think eventually he'll win some cup
Is
races.
he
Yeah.
driving the X-Side car?
No,
Singular
man.
wireless.
Yeah. What about Sicko?
Yeah. That X-Side car was
Yeah,
awesome, though.
It was, especially the purple.
The
Yep.
X-Side was my favorite.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for the NASCAR segment. This next one probably won't take too long, but we have the College Football National Championship this Monday. Unfortunately, it's a repeat of the SEC Championship game, Alabama against Georgia. Michigan, Cincinnati didn't really put up much of a fight in those games.
Nope.
Sorry,
But-
Josh.
Well, you know what? As a Michigan fan, it was a good season. I mean, by far the best season they've had under Harbaugh. He finally beat Ohio State, got that off his back. And, of course, now there's rumors swirling that he's going to be the head coach of the Bears or Raiders, so that's just great.
Yeah, I was
Jesus.
just gonna say. How are your
But,
thoughts about that?
Honestly, I don't think he's leaving. I hope
No?
I'm
I
right.
can't see him
I don't
going
think he's
anywhere.
leaving. That's a cushy job. It's
Well,
just a
yeah.
dream job, in my opinion. So,
Obviously, Kyle Williams is praying he goes to the Raiders.
yeah. I mean, you can't deny it. Everywhere the guy goes, I mean, the teams are successful.
Yeah.
Stanford.
49ers, Stanford, San Diego State.
Yep.
Well,
Michigan
here-
Well,
now.
do you really want to risk it though? Just like how obviously we'll be talking about him in a little bit though, but
Yeah.
about Urban Meyer.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
the thing
that
with
scumbag.
Harbaugh is he took half a pay this year. He was making $8 million. He went down to $4 million. He got $1 million bonus for making the playoffs, and he donated it to all the people that lost their jobs during the pandemic, which I thought was cool.
That was
Stand-up
awesome.
guy.
Good move.
But
Stand-up guy.
my only fear is, and this is no secret, but they can't recruit with Ohio State.
No.
And if you saw them play in that Rose Bowl with that receiving core they have, those guys are all back next year.
Oh yeah.
So get ready because they'll be up there again.
Yep.
And Jigba, and they got Julian Fleming, pride and joy of Southern Columbia down the road here in that area. But it was a good year for Michigan, great year for Cincinnati. I mean, nobody
Oh,
saw that
yeah.
coming.
No.
But I think at the end of the day, you got teams like Notre Dame missing out. They deserve to be in the playoffs. It's time to expand the thing. Make it
The
10 or
eight.
12 teams. Give the top 2 seeds a bye.
Right.
It's too small. 4 is not enough.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody else would have beat Alabama or Georgia. We may still have that same matchup, but to me, the committee seeded the teams the way they did because they didn't want the rematch in the semifinals.
Right.
Because in my opinion, after Michigan blew out Iowa, they should have been the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
You're number 2 going in.
absolutely agree
You
with
win
that.
42-3, you should be the number 1 seed.
Yep.
But they purposely moved Alabama up there so they didn't have to play Georgia until the finals, and they got their wish.
And it
Good TV.
makes for good TV.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Me personally, I don't see Alabama slipping far enough to lose that game. I
Yeah.
think
Neither.
they still win.
I mean, it's looking at the stats and everything. I mean, the points per game, Georgia 39, Alabama 41. I mean, it's going to be I think it's going to be a nice brawl to see.
Yeah.
Finally, instead of watching Alabama just murder somebody.
Georgia's defense is just out of
Oh,
this world.
it's insane.
There's probably 6 or 7 first-round draft picks on that defense.
Oh yeah.
Seems
I
just
mean,
like that way every year.
passing yards allowed. Georgia 172. Alabama 223.
Right.
So yeah, that's quite a big difference there. But the rushing yards, I mean, that rush defense for both teams it's 81 to 82.
Right.
It's the same. It's pretty much the same.
But my only concern with Alabama is they lost one of their stud receivers in that SEC championship game. You know, Mechie went down; he's out for the season.
Yep.
But you know, you got the Heisman Trophy winner and Bryce Young. I'm not confident in Georgia's quarterback as well as they played against Michigan. I mean, to me, Michigan won their Super Bowl when they beat Ohio State. I mean, Harbaugh was 0-5 going into that game, so
Yep.
I know they beat Iowa still, but I didn't expect them
Any
to
win
make it.
against Ohio State is a good win.
Exactly. But yeah, I think Alabama wins another national title because to me, Saban is like Belichick. As soon as you
Yeah.
start counting him out, here he comes.
Yep.
I mean, they should have lost to Auburn. Probably shouldn't even be here. But
The fact that
look at Georgia's schedule.
Yep.
They
He-
haven't really played anybody significant
No,
until they
nobody-
played Alabama.
nobody
and they got
big.
smoked.
Right. Nobody big at all.
They lost that game by 17
Yeah.
points in Atlanta. So
Even Saban's brought it up before in interviews. He goes, "We love to be the underdog."
yeah,
Like that just gives us more reason to be
oh,
pissed
absolutely.
off.
And they're
And-
very rarely the
and now
underdog. But when it happens,
In the national championship, you're going to put Alabama as an underdog. They're
Right.
they're favored by 3 points.
right?
That's
It's so funny you say that, Tim, because I was just watching an interview with Saban from the one game that he played that he was the underdog, and he was like, "I love when you guys
Oh, yeah,
make
yeah,
us the
yeah, yeah.
underdog." He's like, "You guys, you give me poison. I love eating your poison."
Yeah.
I was dying.
John,
it is though.
What are your quick thoughts on Lincoln Riley bolting for USC?
I'll be 100% honest with you. When I saw the news, I was blindsided. I heard nothing about him going
Yeah.
to USC, and then I remember
Well, the
watching
rumors
an
were he's
interview.
getting the LSU job.
Yeah, and I saw interviews where they, well, to his credit, he said, "I'm not going to LSU."
Right. He wasn't
So-
wrong.
So he, I watched the interviews, like, "No, I'm a Sooner," but
Boomer.
didn't say anything about USC. So, but
I think he'll do all right at USC, to be honest. Brian Kelly, on the other hand, at LSU, not a good move
I
for
don't
him.
think that's gonna
No.
work.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, it was a good move for him,
Yeah.
and literally for him only.
Well, that segues into the next topic here before we get into the
Yeah.
NFL talk. You've got these coaches leaving before bowl games. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame. Lincoln Riley left before they played. Bob Stoops had a coach.
Awesome.
And you've also got players opting out to keep their health for the NFL draft stock. So I wanted to get you guys to weigh in on this topic. Whoever wants to jump in could go. But to me, they're one and the same. I don't think you could blame one and not the other, to be honest.
You know, like the way I look at it, Josh. I mean, look at Coral from Ole Miss
Mm-hmm.
playing in that bowl game, and now
He's
all of
lucky.
a sudden, yeah. And you look at someone like Kenny Pickett on the other hand. I mean, really, this is the best that Pitt football has looked in decades, for that
Right.
matter. And honestly, if I'm Kenny, like I don't blame him one bit.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want your draft stock to fall. You don't want, obviously, your career to be jeopardized before you move to the pros. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly understand it as a player, you know.
Now, what about
Coaching-wise, man, I need to think about that for a second.
Tim? What about you from a coaching perspective? I mean, Notre Dame's a few breaks away from being in the playoffs. You know, let's say
Yep.
you know Alabama does lose to Georgia in that SEC title game. All of a sudden, Notre Dame's in the championship game.
Yep.
And Brian Kelly's hired at LSU. How do you justify that?
Oh God, man,
You're
that's
leaving your team high and dry.
Yeah, that's tough. That'd be. I mean, I financially I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
But I mean, 9 times out of 10, when you think Notre Dame, you think Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
for the
just,
last decade,
you,
he's
just,
done it.
you could put him in regular outfit without the Notre Dame hat on, and you can look and say, well, that's Notre Dame. Like
Right.
it's he's in one hand, Notre Dame's in the other hand, and
More
I,
wins than Lou Holtz, Newt
Yep.
Rockne. I
which
mean,
I just don't understand how. Like I said, I guess the financially, yeah, you can take that, but sometimes I just think in my heart, when you're dedicated to something for so long,
yeah.
money shouldn't be the factor that changes your mind to go over, because you're already making a lot.
Yeah.
You're already making tons of money, but the ritual that is Notre Dame is like almost bigger than any other college football team.
Right.
And for you to just walk away that easy, that quickly,
Yeah.
only for financial gain,
Well, I think there's one factor that you can't overlook in his decision to go to LSU, and it's the academic standards. We know that
Right.
Notre Dame's academic standards are up there with
oh yeah,
Stanford and
Huge,
top colleges
huge.
in the country. So a guy that Brian Kelly couldn't get at Notre Dame because his grades aren't great, he could probably get at LSU. Because,
Oh, right,
you
without
know,
even question.
say what you want, but their academic standards aren't up to what Notre
Right.
Dame's are.
But wouldn't
So-
you want, as a coach, wouldn't you want your players to be academically able to, achieve whatever they want
Yeah.
before they move on? If
In a
'cause
perfect world,
what's
you're
the
going to-
majority? What's the percentage of players that go to the
It's
NFL?
like 1 in 300,000.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
So you'd rather them be great at academics, and then hey, if you rolled that dice and you got it and you're going to the NFL, good for
Right.
you, man. You're getting drafted, great. What about the other guys that are sitting there, sitting their heads in the books and
Right.
and doing all their homework and achieving what they thought? Let me play some football while I'm getting a academic education here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see, like I said, I just don't see why he would
And,
pick.
and that's the thing about it. I mean, these kids are supposed to, in a perfect world, be going to school for academics.
Yeah.
The football secondary. But, you had Kirk Herbstreit the other day on the Rose Bowl pregame show saying that these kids just don't love football anymore like they
Right.
used to.
I mean,
I
I'm
don't know
not
if I
going.
agree with that.
I'm, back in the day, I'm not going to college. I'm not going to Notre Dame for academics.
Yeah.
I'm going for the football school.
Right.
I'm going. You're going to Georgia. Same thing. You're
Yeah.
going to Alabama. Same
Yeah.
thing. There's no reason. I mean, you do whatever you can to skate by,
Yeah.
but the possibility of you making it to the next level on those, the big name schools, Alabama, Clemson.
Right.
You can. There's a bigger percentage to make it into the big leagues than, going to Pittsburgh.
Right.
But
Well, to me, another problem is the early signing period, too, because you've got these kids that have to make a decision right now on where they're going to go to school, and they want to know who's going to be the coach at that school before they commit.
mhm.
So, I mean, there's kids that were all set, ready to go to Oklahoma, and then Lincoln Riley's at USC, and it's like, well, wait a minute, I want to go there instead.
Yeah.
So, they
I
have
mean,
to
look at Rudy. Look
Right.
at Rudy.
He was offsides.
He wasn't one. He was offsides. Number two, he was there, and the coach that was there was great. And
Yeah.
then the coach left, and he got the crap end of the stick. But
Yeah,
hey, they let him out on that last play, though.
exactly.
That's all that matters.
John, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, Brian Kelly, for example, I mean, he's doing what's best for him and his family, I guess.
Right.
But as they always say, what's better than a lot of money?
Yeah.
More money.
True.
So
10-year, $95 million contract.
I'll tell you what, though. You want to see an awesome, cool video to feel good for those Notre Dame kids you watch when they introduced Marcus Freeman as the head coach in the locker
Yeah.
room? I don't know if you guys saw that video or not.
Oh, I did.
But I encourage you to check it out because that place went nuts when he walked in. When he was hired and the athletic director announced him as the new head coach, it was a cool video to see because that place went crazy.
and that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need that.
He's
that
a
morale.
Well, he's a
likable
great,
guy.
yeah. Oh, he's a great
player's
coach.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
starting 2022, he will make nothing under $9 million a year until 2031.
Who's that, Kelly?
Brian Kelly, and then in 2031 he will make $10 million.
I think we could have done without the fake Southern accent, though. That was kind of over the top.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then he's dancing with a recruit. I'm like, dude, should have stayed in South
A
Bend.
recipe for disaster.
I mean, don't forget, not too long ago, he was the head coach at Cincinnati, and now he's down there in Baton Rouge. I don't think he's going to beat Alabama anytime soon, but
Absolutely not.
we'll see what happens.
Oh, his incentives. Did you see the salary incentives?
No.
From 2022 till 2031, he will not make under $10 million a year, and in 2031 he will make $11 million.
Now, don't forget,
just
too,
in incentives.
yeah, standards have changed down there. Let's not forget, LSU was national champions 2 years ago, so I know that team is loaded. We'll get to Burrow and Jamar Chase here in a second, but man, you go to LSU and have a couple 8-4 seasons, you're going to be looking for another job pretty soon.
Just so you know, they gave him an interest-free loan of $1.2 million.
Oh, good. I was worried about that
Yeah.
interest-free loan.
Oh, for a house and 2 cars.
There we go. That's what he needs.
That's insane.
It is, but
They can. That's what amazes me about these, like the college sports and professional sports. They pay so much for these players, which I don't think, and I've said it before, I don't think any of these guys deserve as much as they make.
No.
That money that you want to pay these people, there should be in the contract. You got to pay X amount of dollars per year towards a charity of your choosing.
now don't forget too, these college kids are making millions of
Now
dollars
they are.
on endorsement deals.
Yep,
so
now they are.
don't forget about that.
I can't believe they allowed that, but we won't get into that.
Well,
today.
to me, the university's making money off of them, so They should
Yeah,
get
that's
something.
true. Yeah,
but
I
the
guess so.
education is worth a lot too, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, then pay for free
Right.
college for kids that can't afford to make it.
Right. All right, let's get into this NFL talk here. Unfortunately, we have to start off with some saddening news. We lost two great coaches. John Madden and Dan Reeves passed away last week, and I know, at least from my perspective, when I was a kid growing up, John Madden was always on TV in my house.
Yep.
He always called the big Cowboy games with Pat Summerall, and when he
Yeah.
wasn't doing that, he was up in the Metrodome calling the Vikings games with Chris Carter. And
That
them,
was
so
the duo
Yeah.
of
Yep.
history.
They were always on in my house, and when I
Mhm.
wasn't watching them on TV, I was playing his video games.
Yep.
So, what do you guys think about
I
John
mean,
Madden's legacy?
You'll laugh at me because I know you want to talk about memory. I don't remember much about John Madden because, like you said, in your house, John Madden was on.
Yeah,
My parents really didn't watch sports that often that I can remember, at least.
but he definitely changed the way you celebrate Thanksgiving
Yes.
Yeah.
with
But
the turducken.
the one thing I do remember is watching the movie, The
Little
Replacements.
Giants.
Oh,
The Replacements.
Little Giants too.
When
yeah.
him and Pat Summerall were commentating in the movie for the Replacements, and
Right.
it was, I just laughed. And like one of the fat guy scores or something. He goes, I love to see a fat guy score or dance or whatever. And I just his voice, both of their voices. His voice is football. Both of their voices is the history of football.
Sure.
And it just sounds. They
It's
both
iconic.
sound. Yeah,
Exactly.
they both sound just right being together.
I don't know that one person changed the game more than John Madden. Between the video game,
Mm-hmm.
people forget that he's got the highest winning percentage of any coach in
Yep.
NFL history. I mean,
How many years did he coach? 12?
it wasn't long.
10 seasons, 1969 to 1978. Winning percentage of 759, so 3 out of 4 games. And Super Bowl
Did
11.
you say winning percentage? That was.
Yeah, winning percentage of 759, and of course the Super Bowl championship, sadly against your Vikings. But
Well, John, you're probably going to hate this, but the memory that comes to my mind quickly with John Madden and Dan Reeves is actually the same game, and it's the 1998 NFC Championship game that Dan Reeves coached in for the Falcons. John Madden called, and of course you have the.
why
the
make the
sing ring.
why
Gary
make
Anderson.
the poor kids suffer?
I mean, if I got to talk about both of them in the same game, that's
Yeah.
it right there.
Absolutely. the way that I compare John Madden and Pat Summerall would be like wrestling with Jim Ross and Jerry the King
Yeah.
Lawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just 4 iconic voices that you heard in your childhood. So yeah, seeing him pass was very saddening, but it took me back to watching football on Sundays,
Yeah.
especially like during like the years when Minnesota was kind of relevant, but then when they dropped off and they had Gus Frerotte as their
I feel like
quarterback
they were always at the Metrodome, though, those two.
every time. Yep.
And they were always calling Cowboys 49ers games, the big ones back in the
Yep.
90s.
That's when they
yeah.
were big back in the
And
90s.
Yeah.
Josh.
also-
You remember that?
I do.
VHS tapes.
Yeah, and also a lot of Packers-Vikings games too.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with you, Josh, that to me, and I even posted it the night that he passed away, I don't think anyone was more influential in this game than John Madden.
Absolutely.
I mean, he even tried making it in the NFL as a player. I mean, he was drafted in the 22nd round in 1958 by Philadelphia, but he had a knee injury in training camp.
I saw bits
But-
and pieces of the All Madden documentary, but I
God.
got to see
Well,
the
do
whole
you-
thing.
I mean,
Okay, so do you think? All right, he gets 22nd round. He gets drafted.
Yeah.
He has a leg injury or knee injury.
Knee injury.
Knee injury doesn't play.
Yeah.
Do you think if he doesn't have the knee injury and he plays and he actually plays, and I'm assuming if you get drafted, you're at least half decent. So do you think we get to see John Madden, the John Madden, how we remember him now?
I was just going to
That's
say,
a
I
good
think if he
point.
had an epic playing career, it might have
Might have been a little
what he
different.
did in the other. Yeah.
Might have
But-
been a little different.
But that's the thing. I mean, he was so good being a coach, whether it was San Diego State and then going to the Raiders, and obviously the Raiders being a contender every single year from 1969 to 1978, and then of course that second career in broadcasting. And when I heard about his passing, obviously it broke my heart because I love John Madden.
Yeah.
But he was the only guy to work for all 4 major networks. First with CBS, then with Fox, as we alluded to, and then of course ABC and NBC with Al Michaels. And for me personally, I mean, yeah, he and Pat Summerall, by far the best duo. But for me personally, I loved when he did Monday Night and Sunday Night with Al Michaels.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
well, and for me as well, from a personal standpoint, when I saw the Steelers win 2 Super Bowls, sure enough, John Madden was on the call with Al Michaels.
His last game.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the Arizona game with Santonio Holmes. And like you said, the turducken, when you consider the telestrator.
I was just
I mean,
gonna
that
say,
man had fun with that telestrator.
an
right?
absolute boss
Oh,
on the
yeah.
And
telestrator.
he drew some not safe for
You
work
see the water
things
cooler?
on the-
You see the water cooler
Oh yeah.
one?
This is a mother bucket and a father bucket.
I
Since
thought he
the-
was cursing. I'm like, what are you doing?
This is a mother bucket
This
and
is
a
a
father
father
bucket.
bucket.
And since the last game, they had a baby bucket.
and then
Sure
he
enough,
circles the baby
he
bucket.
circles it with the
Yeah.
telestrator.
My personal
Yeah.
favorite was analyzing the steam coming off Nate Newton's head as
I
he
was
sat on
just
the
yeah.
bench.
And
Yep.
there was no bigger Larry Allen fan than John
Oh, yeah.
Madden. I mean,
Yeah.
he definitely loved the big guys
He
in
loved
the
the
NFL.
big guys. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and then of course, when you look at, like I said, his coaching, his broadcasting, but also, I mean, guys, all four of us can vouch for it. I mean, what game you're just like, oh yeah, playing Madden. All of us, when we were growing up, we played Madden.
Yeah.
Still do.
You know? Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, Madden has been around really about as long as we've been alive.
Yeah.
And still to this day. And that's what was so great about that Madden documentary was you had the younger generation. You had a Patrick Mahomes. You had a Lamar Jackson saying like they dreamed when they were kids about being on the cover of Madden. Sure enough, they were.
Yeah.
And, I think without a doubt for Madden 2023, I think without a
Legends.
doubt they
It's a
have
no-brainer.
to have John on that.
Yeah.
They have to.
And
And,
the sad
it
part
can't
is,
be called it has to be called Legends, not Madden 2022 or whatever. It has to be Madden Legends.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, kids today will think the big games are Nance and Romo or Buck and Aikman, but
Well,
to
that-
us
and
it's always
that's how it is for us,
Madden
though.
and
I
Summerall
can't
was where it
stand-
was at.
Yeah,
I can't
but that's
stand
how it was
Jim
for us,
Nance.
though. I mean, it's
Madden-
just a new. It's just a new generation. It's
Yeah.
a new era.
Madden just had a voice
Yep.
for telling
Matt-
football.
It was football.
And of
Exactly.
course,
Madden was football.
It's a good thing
And-
we have Frank Caliendo to carry it on for us.
and I think the one thing with John was, he made it fun and educational.
Yeah.
And he had, when you watched the game with John Madden, whether it was Pat Summerall, whether it was with Al Michaels, you had that vibe that
Yeah.
you were just sitting around with your buddies, having a couple beers, just having fun watching the game.
Just
Boom,
the vibe.
boom. You know
Tough
what I mean?
acting, acting.
Tough
Yeah.
acting and acting. Yeah.
John
know?
Madden, Brett Favre.
When one bucket loves another
Like-
bucket, they make another bucket.
And then, I was watching one earlier today. It was when Brett threw a touchdown to beat the Vikings.
he's doing it on purpose.
Back in the no.
He's just trying to hurt me.
hey, I love you, man.
He's doing it
You
on
know that.
purpose.
Anyway,
Wait, you're telling me you love me on camera?
Oh no!
don't take it that way. Anyway,
Does she
Podcast
know?
official.
Does she know?
It's Facebook official now.
So Brett throws a touchdown. There's like 15 seconds left in the game, and John Madden, as we refer to the love he had for Brett Favre,
He loved Brett Favre.
he's like, unbelievable! Only Brett Favre can make that play right there.
Yeah.
like
Right.
It's kind of like how what's his name, Chris Collinsworth is with Aaron Rodgers.
Now here's a
guy.
guy.
That scumbag.
Now here's a guy.
I cannot stand Chris Collinsworth. He seriously has the most annoying voice in the national.
He's the new John Madden.
Now here's a guy.
No.
Aaron Rodgers.
One of the
Look at
things.
that beautiful throw Aaron Rodgers made.
One of the things I've noticed with these, I don't want to call them new commentators, but the commentators now. Anytime, no matter what game you tune into, it could be the Vikings game, it could be Cowboys game, Steelers game, Cardinals game, whatever. During that game, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth, one of them will say, "This is the greatest player to ever play this position." Every single time.
Oh yeah.
Every
John
week.
Gruden did it every game.
Jesus. Like
Rodgers and Brady
Give it.
especially.
Like who
Yeah.
is actually the greatest player? God, just stop saying every. T.J. Watt is the greatest defensive player to ever play football ever. And then you switch over to next week, and he's watching another game.
Chandler
J.J.
Jones.
Watt
Yeah.
is the greatest defensive
Yeah.
player to
I'll
ever
tell
play.
you what, that Micah Parsons, he looks pretty good.
He
out
is
there.
the
He
worst
looked great
defensive
this
player
year.
I've ever seen.
But here's one thing I just want to add too. It's so eerie that they advertised the Madden documentary.
Got it out just in time.
Okay.
right before he
So
passed.
so
I had a
here's-
funny feeling about that. I'm not gonna lie. When
Yeah.
I thought he was dead already.
when they were previewing that, I'm like, oh, this
So-
is
Hey, they did that for Betty
so-
White too.
85 is a
Yeah.
good life though.
Another
Oh,
rip.
it's a great life. So my
It's a wonderful life.
perspective on this is, for a lot of times, when someone that has been around the sport, their respective sport for such a long time, and had such an impact on that sport, that game, I remember. I don't know if you remember or not, Josh, but it was back in 2015. Steve Burns with NASCAR and Fox
Yeah.
when he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran the race at Bristol. They dedicated it like saying like, "We love you, Steve. This is for you." He watched the race with his wife and his son. 2 days later, he passes away.
Yeah.
And I think with John, they said that John watched that documentary with his wife and his 2 sons. And I think just seeing all those people, like a Troy Aikman, like a Bill Belichick, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, seeing all those people talk about what he meant to, what they meant to him personally and to the game itself. I think in some ways, yeah, John has some heart issues that I heard about. But I think when he saw that documentary and he saw how highly people thought of him, he's probably thought I've lived a good life. So
Oh, yeah.
I can
It's okay
go
to
now.
go now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I thought Troy Aikman said it perfectly. He's like, he narrated my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
pretty
he
much
really
what it
did.
was. I
Took
mean,
the words out of my mouth. And I love the one last thing when he talked about how Troy was trying to grow that beard.
Oh,
He's got
yeah.
a little bit up here and a little bit down here, but
I
not
would-
much right here.
I would quit after 4 days.
Oh, man. Good stuff.
Yep.
Well, from one coaching legend to quite a debacle in Jacksonville this year, we had Urban Meyer,
Is this going to be on the same channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
and Jake's going to have to move back a little bit here shortly, but you're good
Or
for now.
someone's going to die.
You're good for now.
I'll just go home.
So, Urban Meyer, I mean, what could you say? The guy has won everywhere he's been, Bowling Green, Ohio State, Florida. So, Jacksonville tries this experiment, hiring this college coach. They got a new quarterback.
Chop chop.
Nice draft, in my opinion. And, Urban Meyer comes in and just totally botches the whole thing.
Okay.
Ugh.
I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I said at the beginning of the year he was only going to last 12 games. He lasted 14. And Urban, as successful as he is also as shady as there is. Because he won those 2 championships with Florida. And he says, I'm stepping down. I have health issues. I have chest pains. I'm never going to coach again. But you sign a deal with Ohio State. You sign a deal with Ohio State. You lead them to a championship. You say, I'm done coaching for good. And then 3 years later, you sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are just down the road from the Florida Gators. How can you trust someone like that, seriously? How can you trust someone that lied to the Florida Gators, lied to the Ohio State Buckeyes, saying I'm done, I'm never going to coach again? I knew that this experiment was going to fail. And I think in a lot of ways, the video of the girl grinding on. First off,
Hot.
okay. First off, but Tony Dungy that weekend, he said it. When I was a head coach, whether it was Tampa Bay, whether it was Indianapolis, never ever was he I'm going to stay behind. You guys can go home.
Right.
Because like Tony said, if something happened to any player, whether it was Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, if something happened to a player, that's on your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And for Urban to leave everybody behind and say I just want to have dinner with my wife, kids, and grandkids, and then sure enough that video surfaces.
Yeah.
To me,
You wanna
that
have dinner
just
with her,
shows. But to me though, that just shows really how untrustworthy and really how much of a slime ball he really is.
Yeah. The old saying about when it's too hot in the kitchen, get out of the kitchen. I feel like
Yeah.
Urban Meyer's done that almost everywhere he went.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like you said, in Florida, the health problems.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State under some scrutiny for hiring guys that were beating their wives
Yep.
and had drinking problems and all this.
He's a
I mean,
scumbag.
the whole
Scumbag that donated money.
Jake Myers thing with the kicking the kicker. I don't know what to make of that. But to be honest with you, the fact that it happened in August and we're just hearing about it now is kind of
Exactly.
troubling
And then
to
sure
me.
enough, it pops up, and then the very next day, Shad Khan fires
Yeah,
him.
and for Jacksonville to sit there and say that wasn't the reason, I'm thinking, yeah, okay,
Bullshit.
I got a bridge I want to sell you then too.
If he had a winning season, do you think they say anything about him kicking the kicker?
Oh, if he was winning, I don't think
Oh,
this would
no.
be an issue
exactly.
at all.
That's
It's
what
the
it
fact
is,
that you're
though.
2-14 and the season's on the brink. You're trying to find a scapegoat.
You're on
and
your way
Urban
out.
Meyer with all his issues just happened to be it.
Now, here's
I just
something-
hope they haven't damaged Trevor Lawrence beyond repair because that's what I'm worried about.
I don't think so.
The
Here's
guy
my
hasn't thrown a
thing.
touchdown pass in I don't know how many weeks. It's been a while.
Jake, 7 weeks?
Well, I'm hoping he throws a bunch of them tomorrow, obviously.
Well,
Here's
we'll get to that. We got some crazy scenarios.
Here's the thing I just want to say, though, and this is really throwing it out there. I think, personally, if Travis Etienne,
ATN.
if he
Etienne,
didn't
yeah.
get hurt, I think, now this is just me throwing it out there, that it would be a totally different season for Jacksonville.
But they have a stud in James
I was
Robinson.
just-
They weren't
I
even
understand.
using him.
They weren't using him, though. But you know what Urban Meyer was trying to do.
I don't know what he was trying to do.
Trying to get him and his boy back together and try to make something happen there with that team.
Well, they worked Tebow out. It didn't work out.
Yeah, a
Tebow,
tight-
too.
Well, yeah, you bring him back as a tight end.
That's when the circus first started, when he brought Tebow
Yeah,
in.
you bring him back as a tight end when he hasn't played in a regular season game since 2012.
Yeah, at a position he's
He-
never played.
He was
Yeah.
just trying to get
He
God
didn't-
back on his team.
Yeah. Oh, Urban Meyer
God
needs
on
God,
his
that's
side.
for sure. But yeah, Tebow, he didn't make the 2013 Patriots. He didn't make the 2015 Eagles, and you're trying to bring him back as a tight end? Josh, you even said it that he wasn't going to make the final roster.
Could have told you that the day they signed him.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest, I screwed this one up. I thought Urban Meyer would have some success in Jacksonville.
So did I.
Boy,
Yeah,
was I wrong.
I think everybody did.
I mean, they had a
I
good
didn't.
draft. Like you said,
You
ATN, I
didn't?
mean, they lost
I
him
did
for the
not.
year,
No.
unfortunately. But for me personally, I'm not a Jags fan, obviously, but I would worry about Trevor Lawrence here now. He might be damaged goods.
I thought their defense was going to hold them back, but it was going to be the offense that kept them going. But
Well, you look around the league. Zach Wilson is on a terrible team, playing decent. Trey Lance is going to probably play for his team in the playoffs. At least I would.
Jets have a great coach, though, I think.
They do.
Oh, I
Robert
love
Saleh
Robert
is
Saleh.
just
I
this
love-
guy's energy
Exactly.
is just insane.
To me, the perfect hire for Jacksonville, I have two guys in mind. I think either Byron Leftwich makes a ton of sense. He played
That's what I heard.
basically his whole career there. And then the name escapes me now. They just brought somebody in for an interview that I thought, Doug Peterson.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the two guys that I would be looking at.
So, they interviewed Byron. It was yesterday, and I think they interviewed Doug. I think it was last week, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be Byron Leftwich.
Who do you
how
think
can it
has
not
the
be?
best success if they get signed with that team?
I think Peterson's who you want to hire if you want
Yeah.
to start.
I think so,
Because honestly,
too.
I feel like Doug got a raw deal in Philadelphia. I really
Oh,
do.
God, yeah.
He got raw-dogged.
But I'm okay with it because even though the Eagles are going to the playoffs, I think Sirianni's a moron. So
Yeah.
have at it. Tim, any thoughts on Urban Meyer?
Urban
I've
Meyer.
always hated him,
Urban Meyer, yeah.
so I really don't have many
scumbag.
thoughts on him.
I mean,
I
it's
just-
easy to hate any coach from Ohio State,
Yeah.
but, you know.
I just really think if Travis played, it would be a totally different season because they'd
Yeah.
have him and Robinson.
Like a 1-2 punch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have, who's the other guy? Obu Wakani or whatever you say his name?
However the hell
Yeah.
you say it.
He
They
didn't
have
play
a solid
bad.
roster. I mean, Marvin
Exactly.
Jones is no slouch.
No, he's a great wide receiver.
Right.
And they have Lavishka.
Oh, wait, Lashika.
Oh, yeah, Lashika.
They have
Dale,
they,
you still listening?
they have a solid team there, but like
They
I was
do.
like I felt like Trevor and Travis were just gonna have an absolute crazy year. Oh God.
Think about all the players that they let walk out the door, though. I mean, you had the best corner in the league in Jalen Ramsey. You
Yep.
traded him.
Ndakwe was another one.
Right. Calais Campbell was there at
Yeah.
one time.
There's
Yep.
really no one left from that
No.
2017 team.
The defense went
Leonard
way
Fournette
down.
was another one too.
You got to reward your good drafts with, second contracts. I mean, let's
Yep.
face it. I'm not
I
saying
agree.
running back positions, but everybody else.
Right.
Whatever. Any predictions on what the Washington football team might change their name to on February 2nd?
Well, I talked to Kyle Williams the other day, and he said that it was leaked that it's going to be the Admirals.
Yeah, I keep hearing that too.
That's what Boomer Esiason said.
I'm hoping the Sentinels.
Yeah, and Boomer Esiason also said that Aaron Rodgers is going to boycott the Super Bowl if he makes it.
Yeah.
Hey, it hasn't happened yet.
I thought they were going to stay the football team, but the more reports I'm hearing, Admirals, Commanders.
Yeah.
Wolves.
Cyclones was another one that popped up.
Oh, God.
I heard the
Yeah.
Wolves and the Admirals.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? To me, they're
I want to see the
always.
Sentinels.
Well, you know what? I'm as politically incorrect as they get. To me, they're always going to be the Redskins.
Yeah.
I don't
Between
care.
trying to remember that and the Las Vegas Raiders and the San Diego Chargers, I mean, it's
St. Louis Rams,
yeah.
Phoenix Cardinals, Chicago Cardinals,
Give me Sam Bradford.
collarbone week 1 in preseason.
All right, so Antonio Brown.
Jackass.
I mean, controversy seems to follow this guy wherever he goes.
Making money.
Takes his pads off on the sideline on Sunday at the Meadowlands in the third quarter, proceeds to do jumping jacks in the end zone and runs to the locker room. And for all I know, he's still in New York because he's doing podcasts and going
Yeah.
to Brooklyn Nets games and all this. But
and an OnlyFans model, supposedly.
yeah,
Nice.
I mean, in my opinion, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're foolish if you didn't think this was going to happen at
Yeah.
any point. I
So-
mean, Bill Belichick couldn't corral him, so who can?
Okay, so
Guy's got issues.
Mentally, yeah.
and I mean serious issues. And I will say he does need to get help before it's too late. But it's like the old saying goes, you need to want to get help. And to me, Antonio just seems too ignorant not to want to get help. He thinks that he's not the problem.
But that's the thing.
And-
That's where he needs the help from because he doesn't
Yeah.
think he's the problem.
Well, Tony Dungy said it best. I mean, these teams that continue to sign him, they're enabling this behavior.
I
like
would.
he needs to be humbled by not playing football for
Yeah.
a year or two.
Yeah.
And realizing, like, my mental health is forefront here. It's not
The only
making
way I'm going to
millions
get a
of
job
dollars.
back is if I go and talk to somebody.
Right. And the guy was a couple catches away from making all this bonus
Money, yeah.
And not only-
$333,333.
Right.
And not only that, when he, Tim, as obviously you can relate, when he was in Pittsburgh from about 2011 to 2015, I thought he was on his way to being an all-time great.
Yeah.
Honestly,
he
you
still
know-
is really numbers
you,
wise.
you could guarantee he was going to get at least 5 catches, over 100 yards, maybe even 200.
Yep.
Couple touchdowns a game. I mean, honestly, like he.
But like you said,
talk
like
about-
me and you talked that one day, that hit.
oh,
that
well,
he took.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. To
A
me,
lot of people are saying that.
I don't think that. And
He's-
I'll say it,
Excuses.
forever. I don't think it was a dirty hit. I just think it was the play that just unfolded that
Yeah.
way. But it definitely
he's
changed
been,
the way he played football.
He's been cuckoo ever since. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember it was a year later. We were watching the Steelers and Ravens,
Yeah.
and here he is. He's flipping a Gatorade cooler on the sideline because Ben wasn't thrown to him enough.
All I'm going to say is, John, I'll ask you this question because I know these two guys know the answer. Who was the one coach that was able to keep Antonio Brown in line?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Not Bill Cowher.
No.
Bill Cowher didn't have him.
But who was the one coach where virtually nothing happened under? And then when it got
Well,
too
I'll-
late, they cut him.
I'll
cut him
give you a
loose.
hint. He hasn't had a losing season yet.
Oh, shut
wait,
up.
is it
He
Mike
has-
Tomlin?
He has the same initials as Mike Tyson.
Dude,
Mike Tyson. Mike Tomlin.
Maybe we quit the
time out. Why are we praising this jackass that he kept him for 9 seasons?
Jake,
Seriously.
I'm going to tell you.
No.
There
no.
are, I'm going to say,
Listen.
25 other
Dan
teams
Rooney.
out there that would like Mike Tomlin as their head coach.
Well, they could freaking have
Yeah.
him.
I'm going to tell you
seriously.
right now.
Why did you guys seriously? You guys could have gladly declined that interview, John.
How does that Cinderella
What the
song
hell?
go? You don't know what you got till it's gone?
Don't know what you got
Josh,
till it's gone.
he's this generation's Barry Switzer. Okay,
Okay.
he is.
He lasted a lot longer than Barry did.
Well,
Here's the
yeah,
thing with
'cause-
Antonio
'cause-
Brown.
Go ahead.
All elite player. Gets the help he gets that he needs. He goes to any team, he's going to be a stud. If
He is 33
stays,
years old, so the clock's ticking a little bit.
I think he could play till he's about 38.
Maybe the Bucks should sign T.O. He's asking for a
Yeah,
tryout.
he's
saw
48. Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, another thing, that there's always two sides to the story. Antonio
Absolutely.
Brown said his. Bruce Arians said his.
Bruce Arians is not
Well, there's
absolved
his
from
story,
this whole situation either. I don't care how great Jake thinks he is at coaching a team.
No, he's a
I'm-
great coach.
I'm not siding with anybody here, but, I mean,
There's his side.
Doing
there's
jumping
his
jacks
side,
in the
and
end
then
zone.
there's the truth.
doing jumping
Exactly.
jacks in the end
Yeah.
zone on your way out of the stadium and
Doesn't
making
look
a
good.
cut to score a touchdown are two different things.
Doesn't look good.
So the guy was questionable all week with an ankle injury. He missed the last 3 games, suspension, but he wasn't ready to play anyway.
Right.
So, like you said, I do think there's two sides. Granted, what Antonio Brown did is not acceptable. He quit on his team.
Yeah.
He even asked the state troopers for a ride to the airport
Right.
Yeah.
at the end of the game. Well, at the end of his game.
So when the two of them were in Pittsburgh together, talking about Bruce Arians and Antonio Brown, it was only the first 2 seasons of Antonio's career, so 2010, 2011. And they did not have a good relationship whatsoever. And, of course, what happened was Mike Tomlin basically ran Bruce out the door, and that's how he got the job with the Colts. Anyway, my point is Bruce did not want him there. When he got back into coaching in 2019, he said that he did not want Antonio on that team. He was a diva. But sure enough, March of 2020 rolls around. Who do you sign? Tom Brady. And obviously, to me, who runs the ship down in Tampa Bay?
Tom
It's
Brady.
Tom Brady. What Tom Brady wants, Tom Brady gets.
Well, Tom Brady wants
You
the
know,
best of the
And
best.
here's
And-
the other thing. Bruce Arians said, one hiccup and this guy's out of here. He shows up with a fake vaccine card and
And
he's
you
still
still
on the
keep
team.
him. Yeah.
So
Well, that just goes to show.
You
yeah,
got
we're
what you
just,
signed
he
up
just
for.
called my
I
bluff.
think here's the thing that what annoys me is, so obviously the Steelers finally had enough. They get rid of him. They traded him to the Raiders. He didn't last long with the Raiders. I told Kyle the night that it happened, I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
yeah,
So he goes to New England. He lasts 2 weeks in New England. 2 weeks. At the same time, Tom Brady let this clown live in his house with his wife
Tom
and
Brady the enabler.
with his wife and his kids while you have all these legal issues against you.
Hey, you know what? And I'm not gonna say bad. Well, because it's Tom Brady, but he
But-
did something that a lot of people wouldn't.
Oh,
He was.
And-
I think
and
he
that's-
was trying to help him
Oh,
in a great way.
I agree, Tim, and I'm with Tom Brady 100% on this. My point is, He let him live there. He got him a third chance, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
with New England, a fourth chance with Tampa Bay. And Antonio goes on this podcast looking like Dennis Rodman, the way he's dressed up, and he's saying, oh, Tom Brady was only my friend because I'm a good football player. Like the old saying goes, don't bite
Well,
the hand that feeds you.
But that's the other thing. It, like we said, with he needs
Help.
to go
He
talk
needs
to somebody.
professional help.
So
Seriously.
he's at the point now where he's in denial.
But-
Everything is everybody else's fault. Not one thing that has happened to him is
All eyes
his
on
fault.
me.
But let me
And
ask you this.
he just thinks he's right.
Let me ask you this. Now, I'm being perfectly honest here. Okay, he was with the Steelers for 9 seasons. Why are we praising Mike Tomlin like he's some sort of god when Mike Tomlin let him sleep in team meetings, when Mike Tomlin delayed a flight to
You know why?
Oakland 30 minutes because this jackass was late?
You know why?
When he
Cover
let
Madden.
Because he
One
had
more.
the potential to be a Hall of Famer.
one more.
Exactly.
Okay, but one more. But when you let him Facebook Live you in the locker room and you do absolutely nothing about it whatsoever, to me that just shows the lack of discipline that's been there under him. Why do you reward that
think-
kind of behavior and you get friggin' praise for it?
I think they saw a cash cow, a future Hall of Famer.
Oh,
And
And
what do you
tell
do to future Hall of Famers? What are the Bucks doing with Tom Brady? You give him whatever he wants.
Baby him.
What did with Peyton Manning? He called his own plays because he's a Hall of Famer. You let them decide. You let them call the plays. You let them do what they want because they are going to take you to where you want to go in the end of the season. That's what they had in their mindset. No one's saying that it's because of Mike Tomlin or this or that. That was the whole organization. Antonio Brown was going to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver and take them to the promised land and get them countless Super Bowl wins. And then the hit happens, and it just, as you watch from that hit, watch every week after that up until
every
this
year
past
for that matter.
this
yeah.
past weekend.
Got
Every year
Tampa
it just declined even more and more and more.
I'm going to answer Jake's question, but I have a bold statement to make first, and that's I don't think Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl last year unless they sign Antonio Brown because although the stats aren't there to show what kind of impact he had on that team, you've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk. You get
got a
somebody
team- you
like
got a-
Antonio Brown, who's the number 1 receiver.
You got a
to
monster
draw
team.
coverages away. I mean,
You
you
got
don't
a
have to
monster
make
team.
catches to make an impact there.
Look
The
what he did in the Super Bowl.
Monstars.
What?
Look what he did in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
If he wasn't there, they might not have won that.
Yeah. Well,
Granted,
holding the
the
Chiefs to 9
defense killed
points.
it.
Yeah, that's
The Chiefs had no offensive line whatsoever in that game.
exactly. Now, Jake, I'm going to say this with all due respect because you're a good friend of mine, and we're not
Feelings
ending friendships
mutual.
here, but
Okay.
you need to take the blinders off when it comes to Mike Tomlin. And the reason why that stuff
His
slipped
heart just skipped a beat. I don't know
That's-
if you heard that.
that stuff slipped under the radar because only the diehard Steeler fans like yourself know about that stuff. Falling asleep in meetings, FaceTime, and this or that.
Yeah, that's true. I
Um,
didn't even know about that, and I'm
Us
not. I don't
average
consider
fans
myself
of other teams,
diehard team.
we don't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason why Mike Tomlin's getting praised is because he put up with it for how many seasons? And the guy
When-
was on a trajectory of a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the best coaches in the game, Belichick, Arians, Gruden, can't handle him for more than 5 weeks. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. He could have been a choir boy for most of Tomlin's career, for all we know. I don't know that.
Yeah. Well,
But when you compare it to what he did elsewhere, I mean,
so
whatever Tomlin did worked.
So our good friend Billy Lawson, he lived in Pittsburgh 2014, 2015, and he said that, I mean, really, let's face it, beginning of Antonio's career, he seemed like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
Yeah.
Billy said that with AB and with Le'Veon, that there was a lot of childish behavior when they were there, but obviously the local media covered it up.
Well, hell,
when you
Garrett
give-
Blunt and Bell got caught smoking weed in a car.
Well, when
Yeah,
you give
and Tomlin didn't do shit about that.
that goes around the entire league, and not just football, baseball, soccer, football, whatever. It goes through every league. You get these players that come from nothing,
Yeah.
who are extraordinary athletes
Give
who
them
have
millions of
never
dollars.
seen $10
Anto-
together.
Antonio, I will say,
So they
not-
get this money hungry, and they think that because they had a great season last year, that they deserve more money this year. Well, what about the season before that when you were worse that year? Shouldn't we take more money off you?
And
Well,
here-
no, you
here-
can't do
here's
that.
the other thing you're going to hear, too, and I could guarantee this without knowing anybody on that team, obviously. I bet if you asked anybody on that team about Mike Tomlin, they'd say he was a player's coach.
I could probably get on board with that. I could probably agree with that.
And the way he got around the Antonio Brown thing is he treated him unlike these other guys.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna let you get away with this or that, but
And
you know,
he
once
did.
it escalates to a point where we can't handle it
done.
anymore, you're gone.
You're out.
And that's what happened. They
Yep.
saw that Brown was a cancer in that locker room, and they cut bait with him. But it wasn't before he had some great seasons there.
Absolutely.
He did have some great seasons.
But that also
And-
goes to show you that
Well, as
you're
we know,
you're this far away from being cut,
look at
no
Greg
matter who
Hardy.
you are.
Look what he did when he was a Panther.
Mm-hmm.
He got the sack, so Dallas brought him in. He had a so-so season, and he never played another down of football again. He's a UFC fighter now,
Yeah.
so talent wins out in these situations.
Yep. That's where they put the blinders on.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
see
Ray
how
Rice
great
was
you
on the-
can be, and they'll pay everything you want.
Yeah.
And then you become a prima donna,
Right.
and you think you're worth more than you actually play for.
Right.
And there's times where my ankle hurts, I can't play.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think we should pay you the same amount since you're not playing,
Yeah.
or? Well, no. Okay, so then why you keep asking us for a raise?
Right.
Why do you keep asking for bonuses and this and that?
Yeah.
Because he can be
shouldn't
great.
happen.
And I mean,
Look at my stats.
I consider myself a pretty straight shooter, to be honest. So if I didn't think Mike Tomlin was a good coach, I would tell you.
Yeah.
But
I don't
He's
think
a
he's a
great
bad
coach.
coach. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a bad coach,
Most
but I
over-
think he's a good coach.
Most overrated coach in NFL history. I'll take that to my grave.
I just think he's being unfairly criticized by you, man. I'm just being honest.
I agree.
It's not criticized enough. He's the kind of person.
Let me ask you,
He's
though,
the
what did
kind
you
of-
expect this year?
Nothing, honestly.
Because of
Nothing.
Tomlin or because Ben was over the hill?
Honestly, I just thought the
Be
whole
honest.
I thought the whole team was. A
Well, I think
mess.
I think there was a bunch of other
I thought the
players
whole
and
team was
stuff
a
that
mess.
were.
I mean, the offensive line was relatively green going into the year. The schedule itself didn't really look all that easy. So I mean, Johnny and we did a show back in the spring, and I said I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs.
I
at
think
all.
they were putting everything on Najee's shoulders this
As
year
a rookie.
And
as
he
a
did
rookie,
great.
and he
He had
did
a good
he
season.
did good. He did good.
But
I
you
don't want
have-
to say he did great. He
You
did
have,
good.
in my opinion, Claypool and Schuster are number 2 receivers. I don't think either of them is a number 1.
After
No,
Claypool
You got one that's
shenanigans,
more worried about TikToks. You got another one dancing on teams' logos at midfield.
Yeah.
and then you're down to the last
Antonio
minute,
Brown never did that
and
stuff.
you're showing off that you got a first down, whatever hell it was.
Oh, that pissed
If
me
you're
off.
Antonio Brown, you could get away with that stuff. But when you're
Exactly.
the team's second or third best receiver, that doesn't cut
No.
it. And
Absolutely not.
I'm just here to tell you that they got bigger problems than Mike Tomlin on that team.
Yeah, they
I
need
think
to
he's a good-
restructure
I think
that
he's a
whole
good
team.
coach. And I think if the Steelers get rid of him, I think they're stupid.
Well, I think they're going to have to restructure the whole team.
I'll trade you Zimmer for him.
Deal.
Well, Zimmer's going to be looking for a job,
Deal.
too. We'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
But, man, if the Steelers get rid of Tomlin, as a diehard Steeler fan, I'd be furious.
They won't.
Same.
I will throw a freaking party if they get rid of him.
They're,
honestly.
they're getting rid of the source of the problem, and that's number 7.
Well,
So what if they get
well,
rid
number
of
number 7 is the reason why. Number 7 is the reason why this jackass has never had a losing season. To be honest with you,
Is he, though?
Here's the
Is
thing.
he the
though.
reason?
You
Here's
know?
the thing, though, Jake. Sorry to cut you off, Josh, but what if they get rid of Tomlin and they get Urban Meyer?
Shit!
I would not want that dirtbag within.
So you're
10
you're
yards
saying
behind
so you're
field.
saying that you'd want Tomlin back
I
if
know.
that was the choice.
I'm reading Jake's mind right now. He wants Todd Haley.
Hey,
He's
hey,
got
the
explosions
the
going
offense
on.
looked decent.
Come
under Todd
on.
Haley
You
when
can't
he
be
was there.
serious. You're going to take Todd Haley over
He's
Tomlin.
not-
No.
Well, first
No.
off,
No.
well, honestly,
Uh-uh.
first off, Todd was only there because of Mike Tomlin, and Todd was only there because his daddy was actually a scout for the Steelers back in the 70s. Those were the reasons why they ran Bruce Arians out the door.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I don't know.
Well, that was
Mason
fun.
Rudolph's not the answer, but
No,
I
he's
think.
not. He's not.
clearly not the answer.
I mean, look at
Not even close.
11-0 last year, and then down the stretch. I mean, Ben just wore out. You have to call
Oh
it like
yeah,
it is.
he was
wore
over
out.
the hill.
Well,
he
and
was
I
definitely over
and
the
I
hill.
mentioned it on my other show today.
What's
when
that
we-
show?
Jake's Take.
Ooh.
Okay.
When
Shameless
when we
plug.
were when we were at Riverside, this was week 2 back in 2019, when Ben's elbow went out, and I turned to you and I said, "He's done." Remember? I
I remember that.
well, yeah. Well, you were probably
Come on,
about
Tim. Don't you remember
probably
week 2,
about-
2019?
you're probably about 10 Miller Lights deep, you know. But no, I remember.
You're not sponsored by
Ben's-
Miller Lite.
No.
Ben's
Not
elbow, but Ben's elbow gave out. This was week 2. This was week 2 of 2019 against the Seahawks, and we were at Riverside. And I turned to you and I said, "Dude, he's done." I just had that gut feeling right then and there. I mean,
What was it? His elbow?
His
In a
elbow
roundabout way, you
on
weren't
his-
wrong.
on his throwing arm, and honestly,
Is that the game he came back in at the end?
no. No, that wasn't it. He was
That
done
was a
for,
different one. That
He
was
was
a
done
different
for the
one.
season
Okay.
right then and
You
there.
remember that's
Did-
when
he
you
had
had
Tommy
the
John
six
surgery,
du-
right?
Or
Yeah,
you had the
so-
half dozen
yeah,
of
so
chicken
he-
wings,
so
extra
he-
crispy mild.
That Jake was staring at the whole
so
time.
He had so Ben has the surgery. He comes back in 2020.
Gets
And-
off to a great start.
But honestly, Josh, even though they were 11-0, it was an ugly 11-0.
Yeah.
Like
They almost
they
lost to
were-
Garrett Gilbert and the Cowboys.
But they didn't.
exactly.
But they didn't.
But that's the
I was
thing.
happy to be
They-
in the game, to
They
be honest.
Yeah.
lose, but that's the thing. They lose 5 out of their last 6. Really should have lost 6 out of the last 6. One good half against the Indianapolis Colts. But even then, I had that vibe in the playoff game, like that was going to be it for Ben.
Yeah.
Because you heard all this.
That was
talk
back
that
in
This was this
20
past year.
Week
2020.
2 of
the
2019, Tim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I heard all this talk that he and Marquise Pouncey were going to retire together.
Well, they were crying on the bench together last year. I sure as hell
Yeah.
thought it was the end.
very
Yeah.
Oh,
cute.
I thought so
you know?
too.
But honestly,
Maybe
I
it
mean,
was just cold that day. I
But
don't know.
I knew when I heard that Ben was going to come back for 2021. I knew that was it right then and there.
Yeah.
I could not see him going past this year.
And, I mean, I was half joking, half serious before, but I feel like every single time you get knocked to the ground this year, training staff is out there peeling him off the ground. I'm like, holy Christ, Ben, it's time, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
It,
you're
it,
like,
it has been time. I mean,
what's
He's
his
done
face
so-
from,
he's done so
Roger
much-
Rabbit when he gets run over by the steamroller.
He's done so much for that
Christopher
organization
Lloyd.
that you can't deny
Scott.
how great
No,
he was.
no.
I'm
He
not
is-
taking anything away
But
from
it's
him.
just,
not.
But
it
I
just
think he
It's
stayed
time.
1 year too long, to
It's
be honest.
time.
at least he was able to walk off when he wanted to, although not. I think how
right.
he actually wanted to
Yeah.
leave, but
First ballot.
Well, wait, before we go any further with that, our next topic is perfect for this. So
Okay.
I want to make an executive decision here. Do we let Jake get on his Big Ben soapbox
We go first.
Or do we go first?
We go first.
That's what I
We
thought.
have to
we go first, so
All
then
right.
he can hear what we say,
Yeah.
and then he can rip
Well,
us.
this is going to be a
He
10
could just rip us apart.
Fire away,
Let
baby.
him
right.
rip us
He has
apart.
He has his PowerPoint ready to go.
You want to go first, Tim, or you want
What
one
are-
of us
what
to
are we-
go
what are
first?
we
Because
at?
you're a Steeler fan, so
What are
I
we
want you
at?
to decide. We're at Big Ben's legacy.
You guys go first. I'll hit it after.
All right, I'll take this one first because I'm going to be quick. So,
That's what she said.
Lord knows I'm not a big Steelers fan.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. They had the Cowboys number up until 95, and
Yeah.
finally got one because Neil O'Donnell put a star on his helmet that day.
He did.
But believe it or not, he threw those 2 passes to Santonio Holmes in that 09 Super Bowl.
Oh, that I do remember.
The one that won the game was one of the best passes I've ever seen. I'll admit that. But you're going to be surprised to learn that my biggest Big Ben memory is not a pass that he threw. It's not a ball he handed off. Well, he did start the play, but
I know where you're going with
it's
this.
a tackle he made
Yep.
in the 05 divisional round against the Colts in
The
Indianapolis.
shoestring tackle.
Jerome Bettis, who
Shoelace.
never fumbles the ball at the 1 yard line, and a guy that got stabbed in the knee by his girlfriend the week before
Nick
picks
Hayden.
the ball up.
The night before, actually.
He's running the other way. He's going to score a touchdown, and Big Ben Roethlisberger, who we all know is the best open field tackler in the league, brings him down to save the game. Mike Vanderjagt misses a field goal, and the rest is history. So, for me, that's my best Big Ben memory, and I'll admit that throw he made to Holmes. And to have the confidence to go back to him a second time for a guy that just dropped the ball speaks volumes, and he's a Hall of Famer, more so than Eli Manning, in my opinion.
First ballot, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Josh, you took it right out of my mouth. I was going to say that same thing. I remember watching that game live and watching Big Ben make that tackle. I was like, good God. Had he not got that shoestring, that little trip up, totally different game.
I mean, what a career you have when you have I don't know this, Jake. You could confirm if I'm wrong, but all the major passing records in team history.
Yeah.
And yet we're talking about a tackle as your biggest play.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that speaks volumes of the kind of career you had.
Absolutely.
The toughness to me epitomizes the city of Pittsburgh. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to go on a limb here and say he'll be the best quarterback in Steelers history 100 years from now.
He is.
Well, I heard as well, after he retires, he's actually opened a bakery. But he's only selling one
we go.
pastry.
An apple turnover?
A turnover. Yeah.
All right.
Were you waiting? Were you waiting for everybody to shut up so you could say that?
I had that here.
God, I
When
hope they
saw
saw
the
him at
Big Ben
sanitary because I'm getting a whole box.
legacy-
Tim, what do you got for us on Big Ben?
I mean,
Don't cry now.
he's had an incredible career, obviously. Some good, some bad, like just everybody else.
From
Up-
Miami
ups
of
and
Ohio
downs.
yet.
From
Let's not forget.
Miami
Right.
of
We're not
Ohio.
talking Miami, Florida.
Not
We're
the
talking
U.
Miami of Ohio.
But can you imagine being
Not a
from
great place.
being from Ohio and then playing for Pittsburgh right
Yeah.
across the street? That's
And having to sit behind Tommy
Yeah.
Maddox.
I mean, how many
Oh,
teams
God.
how many teams passed him up because of his
He
heavy
was,
legs?
He was the 11th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, and one of those teams was, in fact, the Cleveland Browns.
Tim, you just had to light
and-
that fire, didn't you?
I did.
me and Billy Lawson,
See you at midnight.
we were watching that draft that day when they drafted
Yeah.
Ben, and obviously Miami of Ohio. It's not the U, so we're thinking like Miami of Ohio. What the heck?
Yeah, where the hell is
Yeah.
that?
And when me and Billy, when we saw Ben's highlights, we're thinking to ourselves like, why the hell are they drafting a tight end? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like that's just the way that Ben was built. You know, but
He was big.
I mean, in 2004, I mean, in 2004, I mean, not that I'm going to remember it exactly, but I don't think I was too much into college football at the time, but I did watch the draft and everything, and when they picked up Ben Roethlisberger, I said, this guy's got a long-ass name.
yeah,
Like, who
Can't
the,
even pronounce
That's
who
it.
the hell
usually
is
a
this
good
guy?
thing, though.
I just know
Yeah.
it rhymes with cheeseburger.
I said, who the hell is this guy? And I didn't think it was a good choice at the time.
Little did
And
you know you'd be on the ride of your life for the next 18
little
years.
did I know
Crazy.
he would have,
Crazy.
record numbers for his entire career.
I'll bring him up in a minute.
Yeah, yep.
I'd rather
I
not.
mean, it's just on and off the field. He was a great person on and off the field. I mean, he had his little off the field incidents.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's.
Not the
I
money
think
can't
it's
take care
been
of.
one of the greatest things in my lifetime to watch my favorite team have one quarterback through the entire time
Yeah.
I've watched football. To see this guy do what he did from his peak, from his draft, go to his peak, and then in my opinion, a very slow decline to this past season. But I mean, it's great to something that you'll remember that I could tell my son when I'm older. Man, we watch Ben Roethlisberger, blah blah blah, do this. Whatever team he decides to cheer for, whatever. But I mean, I hope to be able to have those conversations with him and tell him, I got to watch him, this Hall of Famer, do this, and he was it was on my favorite team. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, and it's just something awesome to think about.
It's so funny hearing you say that, telling your kid about watching Roethlisberger play, because you don't normally hear that. Normally
No.
it's, I saw Jordan, I saw Montana,
Yeah.
I saw Brady. And
Yeah.
kids are going to look at you like, Ben Roethlisberger,
Yeah.
who's that? Go
Yeah.
watch the tape.
Yeah,
Because to play the way he did and to have the longevity with a career like that, I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah.
with somebody that he was passed up by several teams, like Jake
10
just said,
teams.
by several teams because of his heavy legs.
Yeah.
and because he didn't go to a big school.
Right, and it's just amazing to know that just like when Tom Brady was drafted, nobody knew what could have happened or what was gonna happen. But I mean, he didn't. I don't think he played as well as Tom Brady did.
Right.
But I think he played damn close to it, and it's great to know that on my favorite team, I got to watch probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of that team.
Look at that shithole.
I mean, and just to go back here, Juice, Mr. Justin Kreitzer, he posted something on Facebook that I read, and I was like, wow, that's makes a lot of sense. But
Don't ever
He
say
was-
Justin's right.
he posted on something with Ben Roethlisberger. He
Yeah.
mentioned like talking about his pretty much his lifetime. That-
I can pull it up.
Oh, didn't you
'Cause
commented on it, didn't you?
Well, it was.
I'd rather hear Johnny's version.
All right, so it was Monday night. Sorry to interrupt you guys. So it was Monday night when obviously we're getting close to the game and everything.
Right.
Obviously,
Emotions are flaring.
me being me, put up a couple pictures of Ben throughout his time at Heinz Field since it was his last home game, and Justin wrote in the comments. He said, "It's crazy. The guy who has been at quarterback for over half my life and the entire time Alicia and I have been together is about to hang it up. I remember watching Cordell and Tommy Maddox, even Neil O'Donnell. I can remember it. But Ben," he said, Ben is Pittsburgh to me.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
he read.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Big Ben is Pittsburgh to
He's
me.
the epitome
like-
of that city. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see that often with these guys.
And like,
No,
honestly, to me,
like Rodgers with Green Bay.
Now, Jake, wait a minute. Before you get on your soapbox
Okay.
here about Ben, am I back in your good graces now?
oh yeah,
Okay.
dude,
You never left.
Will you guys kiss?
You influenced me to be a Keselowski fan. Of course, we're on good graces.
Why though?
Yeah.
Why
Miller
what?
Lite?
Well, yeah. A long time ago, I made a commitment to follow sponsors instead of drivers.
Yeah.
And look
And
where
Miller
that
And
Lite's
here you
long
are.
gone,
I
man.
drove
we
him right
are.
out of the sport. I did it so well.
And here you are.
Yeah.
But no, like Juice said though, it's like he like really think about it. Without even being a Pittsburgh fan, like Big Ben is my entire time of watching football, actually following it
Yeah.
game for game
Yeah.
for game. Big Ben was always there. Shit, I
Well,
mean,
when that goes back, just like when earlier when we were talking about college,
yeah.
it goes back to Brian Kelly. You think
Sure.
Brian Kelly, you think Notre Dame. You think Notre Dame, you think Brian Kelly. You think Ben Roethlisberger, you think Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like I know the Steelers. I know they had that dynasty in the '70s, but to me, they won those championships in the '70s because of that defense.
They had the
because
steel
of Chuck.
curtain.
No, yeah, exactly. And yeah, Terry Bradshaw. Terry is hilarious, no doubt. But to me, when I think of a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think of Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it might be a little bit of recency
Homer.
bias, but
Now,
But that's the
don't
thing.
get it twisted. Ben Roethlisberger had some good defenses.
He did.
Yeah.
Great defense.
well, I
He
mean,
did.
but that's always been the Steelers, you know.
Yeah. It's
And-
always here.
Yeah,
They're like
honest,
Swiss
the
cheese
last
this
few
year.
years.
Yeah.
And
Well,
before
yeah.
you get on
Well,
your
yeah, so much
soapbox,
for
Jake.
so much for Tomlin being the defensive guru and everything.
Hey, now there's a D coordinator calling those plays.
well,
Here's another thing I just want to add about
Not-
the
not him.
Steelers is I think I lost my train of thought.
Were you looking at Jake's
Okay.
eyes again?
I was.
He was looking at Jake's take.
Jake's take. I just got me going.
Jake
I
has a
lost.
way of getting you going.
Oh
doesn't
no, actually, I
He
just
does.
remembered. So, Big Ben going to that team that he went to when he got drafted. You had Jerome Bettis.
Heinz
you had
Ward.
Heinz Ward. You had all those guys in that offensive line that they did
Oh,
too.
it was
Kreider,
an elite
right?
team.
Alan Faneca.
Yeah, Dan Kreider, Jeff Hardings.
Alan Faneca. I mean, what a team to fall into as a rookie quarterback.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. And he was not only type of the guy that had that true grit that went in there and was learning the game. And I remember, what was it? What Super Bowl was it? 40?
When they beat the Seahawks.
When they beat the Seahawks. He won. I remember watching that Super Bowl like documentary they had, like one of the first documentaries
yeah.
they had out for Super Bowls they had with him, where he was like, "I'm not winning this for me. I'm winning this for you," because it was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Now,
And
Jake,
that's the
correct
thing.
me if I'm wrong, but his rookie season, didn't they start 0-1 and then reel off 15 straight?
Well, no. What happened was they beat the Raiders on opening day. That was Tommy Maddox, and Ben was
Legend.
the third string quarterback.
XFL legend.
He ruined my birthday in 2005. Let's just put that out there. Throwing a pick six against the Jacksonville Jaguars on my birthday. But anyway, so Ben originally started as the third string quarterback. It was Tommy, Charlie Batch, and then Ben. Charlie went down for the season in preseason, so Ben's a backup. They beat the Raiders opening day. And then sure enough, where are the Steelers playing at tomorrow? Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Week 2.
That's what it was.
Week 2, 2004. The Steelers were in Baltimore. Tommy Maddox goes down. In comes Ben Roethlisberger. Just like Wally Pipp and Lou Gehrig. I know, I'm just saying, you put someone into that lineup and they're never taken out.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
there you
And
go.
that's the thing.
And that's
yeah,
who ends
week,
their
week
season.
2, 2001. And the thing is, so
At
sure
4
enough,
o'clock.
so when they,
425.
so when they, 420, if you're Mike.
All
Tomlin.
right, for Christ's sake.
But anyway,
5 minutes off.
You
But-
guys are just fueling the fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, to get back on track here. So when Ben went into that game, when Tommy was injured, Baltimore beat the crap out of them that day. That game was already out of reach. But sure enough, they went undefeated the rest of the regular season. You knocked off New England. You knocked off Philadelphia. You're 15-1, and you have home field advantage. Yeah, you lose to the Patriots in the championship round, but you convinced Jerome Bettis, come back for one more year. Come back. I will get you to the Super Bowl in your hometown. I will give you those 4 game balls when we win in the playoffs. Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Denver, the Super Bowl against Seattle. Like, that's the thing. Like, Ben was fueled to win that Super Bowl for Jerome in his hometown. And that's the thing, man. That mental toughness. I mean, man, he would take hit after hit after hit. And as
Yeah.
big as he is, 6'5", originally 260. I think he's like 240 now. But the amount of hits that he could take, the way that he would scramble in and out of the pocket, the way that he could heave that ball down the field.
You can't teach that.
No. And I mean, so here's what I found on Twitter.
Is this your soapbox moment?
These
We've
are
been on it.
these are Ben's
Tim,
these,
could you slide that TV a little bit to the left?
These are Ben's accomplishments. Okay? It reads this. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time AFC champion, obviously
That's
lost that Super Bowl to Green Bay. 8 division titles,
Thanks.
5th all-time in total career wins, 6th all-time in career postseason wins, 9th all-time in career win percentage, at least 100 starts, Pro Bowl 6 times, who gives a crap about the Pro Bowl, Led the NFL in passing twice, 2014, 2018. 5th all-time in passing yards. 8th all-time in passing touchdowns. 5th all-time in completions. 14th all-time in passer rating. 17th all-time in completion percentage. 3rd all-time in fourth quarter comebacks. 6th all-time in game-winning drives. Most 500-yard games in NFL history. Tied for the most games with a perfect passer rating, 158.3. Most touchdown passes in consecutive games. One of 6 QBs to beat all other 31 teams. Like you said, I can never imagine him putting on another uniform. Youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl at the age of 23, and 2004 NFL Rookie of the Year. To me, like I said, when it's all said and done, 5 years down the road, when they're voting for that 2027 class, to me, those accolades in itself, that's worthy of first ballot.
27 is
Yeah, you have to
eligibility.
You have to wait 5 years after you retire.
Let's not also forget he was the one player that was convicted of a sexual exploit that wasn't canceled.
That's true.
Now, Jake, do you think he's done, or just done in Pittsburgh?
He's done.
Yeah?
He is definitely done.
Here's
I
a great
can't-
question.
I can't see him
Me
playing this
neither.
long with the Steelers and then
He's
going
gonna
somewhere
be-
else for maybe a season.
I can't either, but I got to be honest. When I heard him talk, I felt like it was over in Pittsburgh, but I'm not ruling out playing
can't
again.
see- Yeah,
I
I
can't.
can't see him
No,
going
I
anywhere.
can't.
I can't either, but
I can't.
I don't know. Something the way he
If
was
the money's
talking
right,
just
I'm
kinda-
sure.
His-
If the
but
money's right, I'm sure.
His
But
arm just isn't what it. I mean, you see some glimpses here and there, but it's not what it used to be.
Let's say Cleveland gets rid of Baker.
oh my God,
Johnny.
I was thinking
And-
Denver, but I like where you're headed.
Dude.
They drop Baker, and then they say, Ben, you're great. Why don't you
You
come in?
were
We'll
great.
give you
And if
I- You were
$25
great.
million.
And if I were Ben, I'd be like, why did you jackass this pass on me in 2004?
$25 million
Hometown
1
boy.
year.
Retire.
Hey, you want that nice new house in Florida? You could get it with us here if you play with us for 1 year.
Retire.
What if he signs with Cleveland?
Retire.
Well, I've already seen the Aaron Rodgers photoshopped into a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform photo. So what are your thoughts?
I was
on
gonna
that
bring that up
happening?
too, Josh.
Honestly,
No.
I
Not?
don't see it happening.
No?
nope.
I just don't. Because the Steelers, here's the
You're
problem.
trading one old guy for
The
another old guy.
Steelers,
Not that
okay, well, yeah.
GOAT, though.
So
He's almost
Aaron,
there.
Aaron is only a year and a half younger than Ben. Obviously, he's in much better shape.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sure as hell doesn't play like it.
Right.
But
No.
But
Just
the
insane.
Steelers, the problem with the Steelers is they are too complacent. They try to run. This is 2022, and they're still trying to run things the way they were in 1972. And they are so freaking hell bent on Mason Rudolph being their starter, knowing that obviously he's a lot cheaper than Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. For God knows whatever reason, they think that this jackass is going to be their future. Well, you know what? If Mason Rudolph is your quarterback in 2022, have fun finishing last in the AFC North for years to come.
I'm hearing
With that-
Baker Mayfield might be available.
Hey, honestly, Baker would definitely be an upgrade to Mason Rudolph.
He would love nothing
I
more
mean,
than stick
if-
it to Cleveland at this point.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you
I'd
seriously
entertain it.
Unreal.
Mason Rudolph and Mike Tomlin, that is freaking Dumb and Dumber.
Match
right
made
there,
in heaven.
Honestly, Dumb and Dumber for sure.
Mike Tomlin's a great coach.
Harry, I took
Most
care of that.
overrated coach in NFL
Are we
history.
back? Are we
So
back on
my
Mike
dad
Tomlin
burned
somehow?
to it.
No, we're not.
Can
We're
we
moving
reverse
on.
it?
We've said our piece about Ben. We're on to the next one.
Yep.
All right. So, regular season is for the most part in the books. I want to go around the table quick and get your positive surprises from the 21 regular season. Tim, we'll start with you.
Positive surprise. I mean, our next thing is fantasy. I don't have a positive surprise. I took a huge hit for
Well,
fantasy.
who was the team
so.
that you expected to struggle this year, but they surprised you and won?
Oh, the Bengals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Joe Burrow, man. He's
Keep smoking those cigars in the locker room, buddy.
something else,
Jake,
man.
I said that on your podcast.
You did.
He's gonna
You
be like, and for what Jake said before we started, the Bengals are gonna be.
Oh, they're going to dominate
They're
that
gonna
division for
dominate.
the next 10 to
I'm-
15
They're going to be a
Yes.
tough out in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
as
too.
absolutely.
long as they and to a degree, I feel like they have done a better job of protecting Joe Burrow than they did last year, but they can
Oh, yeah.
they could still do better.
Oh, absolutely. There's always room for improvement, but I mean, it's awesome. I mean, as a Steelers fan, but I mean, my wife is a Bengals fan, but I mean, it's awesome to see that the Bengals are actually coming back because I love to see transitions. Bengals were terrible for years.
Right.
Now the Steelers are sucking it up. Now the Bengals are starting to kill it.
But
and
I
they're
don't
starting
think
to
the
do some
Steelers
great
are going to have a
stuff.
streak like the Bengals.
No, absolutely
No
not.
way.
But it's just nice to see. Just like you don't want to see the same Super Bowl every year. You don't want to see Tom Brady and New England in the Super Bowl every year.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he
Until he
made it with another
retires.
But you
team,
finally get
you
to
know?
see other teams actually doing well. Like, I mean, Jets suck, but I mean they're getting wins.
They
They
always
win a
suck.
couple here and there once in a while, and it's a big crazy thing that goes on. But
What I
mean,
will
it's
say
nice
about
to
the
see.
Bengals too is one of the nicest helmets in the league.
Yeah.
You have to admit.
Very cool.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Josh.
You're wrong.
Wasn't
I'm kidding.
but wasn't that the reason why your sister became a Bengals fan?
Absolutely.
It wasn't a John from Plymouth that it pretty much influenced her as far as like the Bengals helmet.
Well, you knew she was going to
Color.
like an animal team
Color.
for sure. And then the secondary thing is
And
the nice
Josh
uniform.
Josh would not allow her
Why
to
not
be
the
an Eagles
Lions?
fan.
Yeah.
yeah, didn't you say that when Sarah said that she wanted to be an Eagles fan that
Get
you
out.
basically
Get
yeah
out.
Yep.
Wasn't accepting that.
She's a Niners fan.
or was
Yeah.
She's
she
a Niners
claimed
fan.
But the way that California is anymore,
Well,
as Frank
she
calls it,
doesn't really
Planet
watch it.
California.
Yeah, she doesn't
oh,
really
yeah.
watch it, but she's a Niners fan.
What do you think, John? Pleasant surprise from this season?
I mean, you'd have to say Cincinnati, but another team that I didn't think was going to do as great, but they're doing decent, was the Raiders.
Yeah.
Considering their
what they went
draft.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a disappointment-wise, honestly, I was thinking about the Chargers because everyone was hyping them up.
Yep.
With Herbie.
The
a
love
lot of hype for them. There was another team that was coming to mind too that I was just thinking about and I lost it, but
Here, let me remind you.
no. Oh, actually, no. I remember now. It's
See?
in the division.
I jogged you.
It's in the division. I knew Minnesota wasn't going to do that good this year.
Come on.
I swear.
Our podcast back in
I
May.
said
Yeah.
they're not going to do well because of their defense. Their offense was going to do great, but their defense was going to let them down. No
I was just
matter.
going to say, Kirk Cousins is having a career year.
They always, after week 2, when they would lose consecutively by one-score games, sometimes by a point, I was like, yeah, it's a done season. But the Bears, I was really
Yeah.
shocked because of also the hype behind Justin Fields, that I thought that they were going to do a lot better than they were going to do. But I'll tell you what, I've been watching a lot of since I have ESPN Plus, I'm trying to get as much of my money's worth for it. But Dan Orlovsky, I'll never forget watching the one
He's an
episode of ESPN,
Oh, he's a jackass.
and he was ripping Matt Nagy apart.
He was a lame duck coach, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you knew he wasn't going to be brought back because the Bears weren't going to win the Super Bowl or even make the playoffs
Yeah.
for that matter.
But, like, you have a great player in Justin Fields. Granted, Ohio State, one-hit wonder. Their quarterbacks never really come to fruition in the NFL. But he had a lot of talent around him and a decent defense, but maybe also injuries
Yeah.
plagued them a little bit. But they didn't play as well as I thought they would this year. I thought they were going to at least challenge Green Bay. I knew Green Bay was going to win the division, but I thought they were when Aaron Rodgers came back, I was like, yeah, Green Bay's winning that. But I thought Chicago, it was going to be Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, and then Detroit, of course.
Well, the old
But-
saying, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have none. I mean, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, and Justin Fields, we had no idea who was going to start those games week to week because
Right.
there was no guy that emerged as a clear-cut starter. I mean, obviously, you're not putting your eggs in the rookie basket to start out. Andy Dalton is a career mediocre quarterback. He's a guy I could see in Pittsburgh next year, to be honest.
Right.
The Red Rifle.
But my biggest disappointment is I'm torn between 2 teams, and one of them is the Vikings. With the talent on that team at receiver and at running back, man, I thought they'd be at least a wild card contender, which they are, but they're out. And the Browns. I mean, how could you not build off of last year's success? And to me, the weak link is Baker Mayfield. He's a terrible quarterback. I mean, let's face it, he's not worth $20 million. They're not going to pay him. That run game is sick. The defense is great. And
Right.
yet, here we are. They're out of the playoffs as well. So, I don't know. To me, Baker Mayfield's the guy you got to move on from.
And look at everyone that left them, too. Odell.
Right.
Granted,
But, I
he
mean,
was the only
Jarvis
one that
Landry's
left.
no slouch.
Jarvis Landry's no slouch, but, I mean, isn't this his last year in Cleveland as well?
It could be if they don't re-sign him. But, I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones has emerged as a solid target. And
Yeah.
Njoku's still a good tight end.
They're a decent team.
Like
They're
I
a
said,
decent team.
Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I don't know if there's a better 1-2 running back
No.
combo in the league.
Absolutely not.
even Kevin Stefanski. I think Kevin is definitely a good coach.
I'm
Absolutely.
surprised with the criticism he's getting. A lot of people are saying to get rid of him. Like,
Yeah,
what? This
and,
went to the
and
playoffs.
last year, and
One
that's
game
the thing.
last year.
And last year, all the Browns fans were acting like he was the second coming of Christ.
Right.
I mean,
As,
did you
as
look at
far
him?
as far as positive surprises go, I have to go out New England.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
mean, Mac Jones coming in there, taking over. I mean, for the great Tom Brady, obviously. Last year was a shit show with Cam Newton.
yeah.
And, I mean, I did not expect them to be a playoff team, let alone contend for the division with Buffalo. And it looks like they're going to, I don't know if they win a playoff game, but they're going.
Another disappointment. Buffalo.
Yeah.
Granted, their
Yeah, you
They're
could say that.
in, but that's the thing. That was
expectations.
That was my
barely
preseason.
in.
Yeah.
That was my preseason pick. I had them representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Right. Washington football team. I mean,
Yeah.
playoffs last
They
year.
suck.
Yeah,
I mean, you said it though.
to me,
Taylor
that
Heineke's
is-
not the answer.
Yeah. So, for me, I would definitely have to say that's definitely one of the biggest disappointments this year is definitely Washington. I mean, really, all the hype they had going into the year, especially with that defense, knowing how stout that defense was at the end of the year last year when they made their run and almost beat Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card round. And honestly, man, you can't help but feel for Ryan Fitzpatrick at this point.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, really, you're thinking like, man, you know, he's on a great team. You know, maybe this is the year that he's finally going to make the playoffs. And sure enough, opening day, he breaks his hip and he's done for the season. So
And they
for-
lost Chase Young, too. I mean, that's a huge
Yeah,
loss
that was a huge blow. So
for a
for-
team that depends on their defense to
So-
win them games.
I would have to say, NFC wise, and I think overall to me, that's definitely my biggest disappointment on the year. I would have to say biggest surprises definitely Cincinnati, because honestly, I just thought, especially after the injury that Joe Burrow had last year, I thought like you're thinking like it's gonna be like 2013 RG3, honestly. And I would have to say between that New England has definitely been a surprise this year. And honestly, guys, you three are going to hate me saying this, but let's face it. As far as surprises go this year, in a good way, Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I didn't
Honestly.
expect them to be a playoff team.
I didn't even expect them to win 5 games this year.
Right.
And here they are. They clinched a playoff spot. Granted, I think we're going to be one and done in the playoffs, but
Sure.
that's the thing. I mean, for as much criticism as Nick Sirianni got, he got them into the playoffs with the toughest schedule in the NFL yet.
Running
Right.
all over the Cowboys right now.
Easy. Now, we got some backups in there. No Parsons, no Diggs. Whatever happens.
What's up with them?
Jalen Hurts is out tonight too.
Yeah.
What's
Who's
up with Parsons?
Parsons is COVID.
Yeah, Anthony Brown is tested too.
Yeah.
And even the Eagles themselves had an outbreak. I think it's about like a dozen players or so.
Every team's having.
But with the
Oh,
new
yeah.
protocols, they'll be back for next week. No
Yeah.
problem.
Here's
Well,
the
this is the
thing,
one they
though,
need.
like, in my fantasy, and that's actually the next thing we're going
Yeah.
into.
Then
I'm
just
in a
hop into it.
fantasy. I'm in a fantasy league right now. This is our last week that we're in. I have Dak in,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's a mistake. And I had Jalen. I have Jalen and Dak as my quarterbacks.
That's why you got to end it in week 17.
Right.
Yeah.
So like Dak's, he's predicted to have 8 points tonight. It just got updated.
8 points.
8 because I don't think he's playing that much.
So as
No.
far as fantasy goes, is anybody not taking Jonathan Taylor number 1 overall next year?
Well, if
Number
you're Sean
2.
Rosansky, you're
Two.
taking Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry number 1.
I don't know, man. That Liz Frank injury is nothing to mess around with. That's a
Yeah.
workload injury.
That screwed me real
Yeah.
bad.
You'll see him on the front cover of ESPN magazine for fantasy. He'll be number 1.
Yeah.
My only thing with him and that type of injury is the fact that he's a big back, and he's
He
the
hasn't
main
played,
he's the main man there.
and he hasn't played since Halloween,
Right.
and he's not playing tomorrow, which honestly I think is smart.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Tennessee Titans especially, you know, they need this. They need home field advantage more than anyone. They've had 82 different players on their roster this year.
Yeah.
And honestly, real quick, not to get off topic, but real quick, just want to ask you guys, who's your vote for Coach of the Year?
That was twice they played that. They ran that run.
Shovel
Twice.
pass.
Yeah, twice.
Coach of the year for me.
Mike Tomlin. Not Mike Tomlin.
Cut him off. Cut him off.
Man, that's a tough one. I don't know.
All right, let me throw this out there. If, and I mean if, they make the playoffs tomorrow, you know who gets my vote?
It's not happening. I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay.
I know who you're gonna
I'm
say.
talking to you.
All right, so if
I get it, but it's not happening.
yeah, but if somehow, some way, they make the playoffs tomorrow, My vote for Coach of the Year would go to Rich Bisaccia, interim head coach of the Raiders. I mean, think of it. The John Gruden email situation, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Nate Hobbs, really all the off-the-field issues that this team has had, and just the fact that they even still have a shot going into the last week of the season. And, yeah, it's only happened one time. Bruce Arians is the only one that won Coach of the Year as an interim coach back in 2012. But if they make it, Rich Bisaccia gets my vote. But if not, I would have to say, honestly, it would have to be Zach Taylor from the Bengals.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I was thinking that. I mean, Vrabel's got to get some
Yeah.
consideration.
With all the injuries
Yeah.
that I was just talking about.
Honestly, Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
I know it's a boring choice, but
Urban
I mean,
Meyer.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Urban
who
Meyer.
was it? Someone, I think it was Cliff Kingsbury. He said as long as once Bill is gone, that the ward should be named after him.
Yeah, the Bill
Absolutely.
Belichick
Yeah.
trophy instead of Vince Lombardi.
Belichick 2025.
Well, no, the Coach of the Year
new video
trophy,
game.
I think it was. Anyway,
What do you guys
Johnny?
think about MVP?
A-Rod.
Rodgers or bust?
Yep.
I'm going running back.
I don't think.
JT?
I agree with you, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, it's always the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
so.
If you look at it honestly, if you take away whoever you think is the MVP candidate from one team, from every team, I think it's Taylor that hurts their team the most, losing him. That would be my pick.
All right.
True.
So,
I think that's how you have to look at it. If I were to take your best player off your team, who suffers the most? And to me, it's the Colts. Because Carson Wentz, we know what he is. He's a mediocre quarterback.
You take what'd you say? You take the best player off the team.
Take the best player off every team, and I think the one that hurts him the most is the MVP. And
So-
to me, that's Jonathan
Oh,
Taylor.
that's the
So-
Titans.
Who are you taking away, Tannehill?
No,
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
But I mean, they're still on the verge of being the number one seed without him.
And this goes back with Coach of the Year
Oh,
as well.
I get what you mean. Never mind.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. Okay.
'Cause
I was thinking
the-
like just
yeah.
doing
Well, the
like,
reason why Henry's not the MVP is because they're still doing it
because
without
they're
him.
still doing decent.
I
yeah.
mean, if they plummeted, I could totally buy your argument.
And that's
but-
the-
I now I get what you mean. I didn't. I
Yeah.
was looking at it the other way.
And
I get
Deontay
you.
Foreman actually has put up some decent numbers with that Titans offensive
so if
line.
anything, you could say their offensive line is the stud there.
Yeah.
My ballot for Coach of the Year, sorry to cut you off, Jake, but was
No, you're
Frank
good.
Reich. With that team,
Yeah.
the
If they make the
injuries,
playoffs.
Yeah. Well, dude, they got the Jags. They're going to beat them.
Listen,
So, all right. So, the way I have it is MVP, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Offensive Player of the Year, Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Bear with me.
homer pick.
T.J.
Dude.
Watt.
Mike
Not-
Tomlin.
As a non-playoff team, I don't think so, honestly.
But when Strahan got the sack record in 2001,
Which was bullshit, by the way.
It
Favre
was
just played
bullshit.
dead.
it was bullshit. But the Giants went 7-9 that year, and he was Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So,
He might get it. I
Those-
mean, Aaron
Micah.
Donald's not lighting the world on fire this year.
Micah.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
God,
Now,
yeah.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, you know.
We don't have to discuss
Ma-
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously T.J. Watt.
TJ Watt's been around for 5 years, dude. Anyway, all right, so Defensive Rookie of the Year, it's definitely Micah Parsons. Offensive Rookie of the Year, this is the one I'm struggling with.
It's Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Originally I was thinking Mac Jones, but after
Nah.
this run that Cincinnati is on, it's Jamar Chase.
Easily.
I mean, just that interview alone with Joe Burrow. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Where he says, I'm just going to throw it up. Jamar's got to be there somewhere."
Yeah.
Yeah.
F it, he's got to
He's
be
gotta
there
be
somewhere. Yeah.
There
Here's
we
the
go.
That just shows how great, how much how much Joe Burrow believes in Jamar Chase. That he knows if I just throw it up, he's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
I guarantee he gets to it.
Plus, you have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd,
Right.
too. I mean,
Right.
Here's the thing, though. The Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think it's going to be a Cowboy, but I don't think it's going to be Micah Parsons. I think it's going to be Diggs.
he's not a rookie, though.
That's his second year.
Yeah, I thought this was his rookie year.
No,
it's
last
his
year
second
was.
year.
Oh, my bad.
No,
Oh,
you're
Micah
good.
Parsons, then, yeah.
I find it absolute.
Could be two Cowboys for player.
It could
defensive
be.
Players of the Year.
The only thing with Diggs is he does give up a lot of big plays, but PFF ranked him as like the worst corner in the league. I'm like, are you kidding me?
No way.
When he's had 11 interceptions and how many pick sixes on the year?
Right. So to me, that's nonsense. But
I thought
whatever.
He was a rookie.
Yeah, I think
It feels like it, though. You
it'll
know?
It
probably
does.
be T.J. Watt, I guess. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I don't know. The off-season awards are nonsense.
yeah.
What do you guys think about the guy that said he won't vote for Aaron Rodgers because of what kind of guy he is?
That was ridiculous. I mean,
I
yeah.
like that guy.
I kind of do
Aaron-
too because
You know
he's
what
an
that
arrogant bastard.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
baseball.
Jeter.
Jeter. I knew you were going to say that.
I knew you were
Goddamn
gonna
I
bring
knew you were
baseball.
going to say that.
That hits home real hard.
I mean, I don't know. He
I
never
never
said
didn't
he
talk
was
about
vaccinated.
fantasy at all.
if you're gonna be in that career doing what that guy does, and you expect
Nice catch.
every single person
Good catch.
around here to be likable, to be the nicest person, to be the greatest person,
Yeah.
well, then get the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen. You're going to have guys that are mean, guys that are loyal, guys that are
Lying about
happy
COVID.
all the time, guys that are throwing out fake COVID cards. But it's just you can't put personal feelings into it.
Yeah.
You got to be it as it's your career, it's your job.
I agree.
Like you can't have any bias towards it.
As much as we all hate Aaron Rodgers because of the arrogant prick that he is, he's
He
the
is
most
an
valuable
arrogant
player,
prick. He is.
probably.
But he is damn good.
He
Yeah.
is good.
Yep.
If he wasn't in Green Bay, they wouldn't be where they're at.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Not a chance.
Did you say you wanted to say something about fantasy, John?
Yeah, like we didn't really talk about it. About
Why would you want to talk about it of all people?
I'm honestly kind of over it. I'm burnt
Oh,
out
me
with
too.
fantasy. I mean, I finished second in one league, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, I'd take Jonathan Taylor #1 overall next year.
What a tough year for fantasy football.
In what regard with COVID?
COVID, yeah.
Well, that's the
COVID and
thing.
injuries,
Well, yeah.
This is why you got to have a second IR spot.
right?
Well, yeah. In my case, I was bit by Austin Eckler getting COVID.
Yeah.
I had Derrick Henry
Yeah.
in both the leagues I played in.
I mean,
That literally
I did say in the
Lost it
beginning of
for
the year
me.
I was worried about his
lost
workload.
it for
but
me.
Yeah, your team was killing it.
Lost it. I would have at least finished at least top 3,
Yeah.
no doubt. And then he goes out, and I'm like, well, I'm done looking at this. So I stopped watching it.
John, how'd you do in your own league?
I finished third.
Did you?
Had Devontae Smith and Miles Sanders not have a good game against Washington, I probably would. Well, I would have finished second for sure because the guy the following week had Miami's team against New Orleans,
Yeah.
Okay.
and he had the defense and Jalen Waddle.
Facing Ian Book.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I would have been a goner to begin with, but
I'll tell you what, Jalen Waddle surprisingly had a quiet, good rookie season.
I think he might be Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I still think it's Chase, but I could
Yeah.
totally see it.
I can see them just if you're crunching numbers wise, Jamar Chase for sure, but like the value of the team and what he means to the team. I mean, they're both kind of very
Yeah.
similar, but
I mean, can we stop for a minute and appreciate how good that Alabama offense was with Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Mac Jones?
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty unstoppable if you ask me.
Why do you think they were in Alabama?
Right.
Goes
They're
back
not in
to our
Alabama
college
for
stock.
education.
No. For Forrest Gump reasons.
hmm
Alabama.
I love
Roll
you,
Tide.
Jay-Nay.
Rainbow, Alabama.
All right, should we pick this playoff thing or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Do it.
So, as of right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are the #1 seed in the AFC, but I think that only lasts maybe another 16 hours or so.
Yeah.
I don't see
Titans.
Tennessee losing to Houston tomorrow. Do you guys see that?
No.
Could
Hell no.
happen. Never
Although I
count
may
it
throw
out.
money against
Any
it.
given Sunday.
And Green Bay's already clinched the 1 seed in the NFC, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, there are some spots that are still up for grabs here. And you might say to yourself, well, what chance does Jacksonville have against the Colts tomorrow? But I'll say this. The last time the Colts beat Jacksonville, in Jacksonville, 2014.
Yep.
7 years ago.
Could be 2022.
They haven't won in Jacksonville in 7 years. So all I'm saying is there's a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And get this.
So you're
Furthermore, if
saying
the Jags
there's
beat
the
the Colts, and I know it's a long shot, but if the Jags beat the Colts and the Raiders and Chargers ends in a tie, the Raiders and Chargers both go to the playoffs.
Yep.
I hate that there's 9,000 things that need to happen.
There is.
Oh.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be the winner of the Raiders-Chargers game that gets in.
Yep.
And the Colts. But I'm just saying there's a
Yeah.
chance.
I totally agree with you, Josh. And I mean, like we talked about, look at the fight that Denver just put up against Kansas City.
Right.
And that's the thing, Jacksonville. And here's another thing, and you and I are going to love this. I read yesterday on Twitter, Carson Wentz could become the first quarterback in NFL history to not throw a single interception on the road the entire season.
That's the
So
MVP.
that is the kiss of death
Right.
right there.
That's
So
the MVP.
I'm hoping that he throws like 3 or 4 tomorrow.
Said Wilson in for the touchdown. Let's go.
From Dak, right?
Woo! Yep. My man. But, yeah, I mean,
I'll take it.
I think it's a long shot to see the Jags beating the Colts, but
Yeah.
I
Strange
mean,
things have happened.
they haven't played in that heat in God knows how long. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a factor.
Been in a dome for how long now?
You know, that Bevel's going to want to
Jacksonville could
coach
beat
like
him.
he's
Yeah,
coaching
and
for the job.
Yeah.
I
Wide
miss him.
open.
Yeah.
And so, like, I talked to Kyle Williams, and he said, honestly, as crazy of a year as this has been for the Raiders, with Gruden, with Henry Ruggs, with Damon Arnett, with Nate Hobbs, he said, as awesome as it would be, winning you're in, he said that he just doesn't see it happening. I mean, the Chargers manhandled them on Monday Night Football back in October, and he said, honestly, he's kind of expecting the same thing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about the Chargers, going back to Johnny's point. One week they could win the Super Bowl. The next week they could be the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you're
I
saying
never would have thought they'd lose to the Texans.
somebody could be first
or last.
to worst?
Ricky Bobby.
So,
Johnny
Fantasy
Asaurus.
football.
all right. So,
How about this other one, though?
see.
Do you see a scenario where maybe the Saints get in
Son
over
of
the
a bitch.
49ers?
I don't
Because
really-
you beat me last year.
honestly, Josh,
Beautiful trophy.
I don't really see it happening because
Use
So
it
you
well.
All right,
to be clear, you
so-
need a 49ers loss to the Rams at L.A., and then you would need the Saints to beat
the
Atlanta,
Falcons.
which is possible.
Which is possible. So, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, they both took their respective jobs in 2017. Talking about Kyle with the 49ers and Sean McVay with the Rams. Now, in 2018, obviously, that was the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl. And that was the year Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL. So, obviously, the Rams swept the 49ers that year. Aside from that, Kyle Shanahan's record against Sean McVay and the Rams is 6-3.
Yeah, he's had their number for sure.
And honestly, that's what I see happening tomorrow. I see the 49ers beating the Rams. I see the Cardinals beating the Seahawks. And hey, is this the last game for Russell or Pete, or the last game for both of them in Seattle? You never know. So the way I see it panning out, I see the Niners getting in, and I see the Cardinals winning the NFC West and the Rams being a wild card instead.
Now, there is a scenario where if Dallas beats Philly tonight, the Rams lose to the 49ers, and the Cardinals lose to the Seahawks, Cowboys become the number 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
Yeah.
But
I
man,
hate this.
I can't go there with the 49ers.
I can't stand this.
I know Shanahan's had their number, but I think the Rams win that
You know
game.
what? You know
I
what
really
I like?
do.
I like watching football.
The Rams have the 2
I
seed
hate,
on the line.
I hate that Josh literally has to look at me in the eyes and explain if this team loses
this,
and
this,
this
and
team
this,
wins
then
and this
this.
and this and this and this, this team gets to go here. And I'm like,
Hey,
those
well,
are neither of the teams that I like, so I
think
don't
we'll-
care.
We'll all fill this out individually to give our own picks.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at this like what's most likely.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think the Rams are losing to the 49ers
No.
tomorrow. I don't think that. I know history says otherwise, but I think the Rams win that game. John, what do you think?
I think the Rams are a better team.
Where are they playing?
It's in L.A.,
Oh, yeah.
which isn't a huge home field advantage, by the way. I mean, it's two California teams.
Yeah.
It is, but they're playing for something.
Now, here's
So-
the thing: if you're the 49ers, and I'll ask all you guys this: do you start Trey Lance, or rumor has it Garoppolo's practicing now?
I think Lance.
Who have they been playing the whole time?
mainly Jimmy.
Jimmy G
Garoppolo.
mostly, but
Then
Trey
I-
Lance didn't look half bad last week.
I think he's going to start.
Lance,
Yeah.
I think that's who I'd go with as well.
Then
I don't
again-
think either one of them gives you the better chance to win the game. It's that defense
Yeah.
and
okay.
Debo
Yeah.
Samuel.
What does Los Angeles have on Lance so that they could look besides a couple games?
Aaron Donald,
True,
sick him boy.
true, but
No, I'm just messing.
he has the escapability that he could do this. One thing I wanted to add too, though, 2 things. This off season this year is going to be crazy, with just Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Those
Yeah.
are going to be the 2 guys you're going to be looking for.
All right, John, predict it. Where does Rodgers and Wilson end up?
Rodgers, Pittsburgh. Wilson, Seattle. I
Really?
think he stays in Seattle.
Well, how about this? Rodgers, I've been saying Denver, so I'd like to go there, but I think he stays in Green Bay.
I do
Really?
too.
And
Think it's all just a ruse?
Russ, New Orleans.
Josh,
That's a scary team
Josh,
right there.
Yeah.
I have the exact same scenario.
Yeah.
Aaron stays in Green Bay. Russell goes to New Orleans. Obviously, got a great coach in Sean Payton. The weapons are still there. Quarterback, and that's part of the reason I don't see the Saints making it. Quarterback has been an issue. I mean, Jameis looked decent before he tore his ACL, but honestly, I don't think Taysom Hill's the answer. Obviously, Trevor Siemian isn't the answer. And Russell kind of has that same build that Drew Brees did. He's not He's not the biggest guy, but he's pretty damn good. So honestly, me and Kyle, obviously, Kyle keeps close tabs on the Seahawks as well. I definitely see Russell Wilson being a New Orleans Saint.
What if he
next
goes to
year.
Denver?
You talking about Russell or Aaron Rodgers?
Russell.
That'd be pretty wild, man. Then again, it all depends who's Denver going to hire as their head coach.
Right.
The problem with New Orleans is outside of Kamara, who do they really have on offense as a playmaker?
I mean, that's
Michael
the thing.
Thomas, who never came back.
Never played it down this year.
Another thing I
Which-
wanted to add too, though, is just to add to the disappointment. To go back a few bullet points here, Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
I really thought they were going to get their
I
together
don't remember.
this year.
First year coach though. No run game really outside
Yeah.
wide
But
receiver.
that team, though,
I don't
But
know.
defense has always been the problem for the Atlanta
Calvin
Falcons.
Ridley, Kyle Pitts,
Who Ridley missed half the season.
And it
'Cause
must-
of personal
some
reasons.
sort of mental issue or something.
no,
Yeah.
something with his family, from what I read.
Oh, okay.
I can't go there with Atlanta. I didn't think in the beginning of the year they were a
Matt
playoff
Ryan,
team.
this is last year too, right?
I think honestly, I don't see him being with the Falcons next year. I see them either moving him or trading him or drafting.
I
mean,
wouldn't.
that's the thing. But
I'd keep him.
like you were saying. I mean, I've always liked Matt Ryan.
Me too.
I think he's
Underrated.
one of the more underappreciated
Absolutely.
quarterbacks in the league. You know,
Yeah.
Josh called this years ago when we were looking at teams, and when they had Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, Julio Jones, Tony G.
Mhm.
He was like, "Yeah, I think the Falcons are going to go to the Super Bowl this year."
And
I
that was-
specifically remember us sitting in the break room at White's,
Don't forget
And you
Telvin
saying
Coleman
that.
too, my guy.
Tevin Coleman, and
Yeah.
it was just like you were just saying how their team was so stacked, and they went that year, but they unfortunately,
28-3.
Yep.
yeah.
and, and we were actually watching it upstairs right here.
We were.
And sure enough, the only person that was happy about it was Sean Rosansky.
Yeah.
Because he had money on the game.
I mean, Kyle Pitts. Not many people are talking about him, but he had a good rookie season.
He did. He had over 1,000 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember you calling that for Matt Ryan just from when they started that they were going to be the team to turn it around, and they did.
Can we just have Cordero Patterson wear 24 instead of 84 to make it more natural? I mean, I'm getting real sick of him seeing him in the backfield wearing an 80-something number. Like, come on.
Hey, numbers don't matter anymore.
Numbers
No.
don't lie. All right, so where do you want to start? AFC, NFC?
Let's start with the AFC.
Start with the AFC. Okay. So Buffalo, New England. Third time. They split.
Yeah, they split.
Buffalo
Honestly-
got him pretty good a few weeks ago in
All right.
Buffalo.
So Buffalo has the Jets. New England has the Dolphins. So honestly, I see both of them winning. And the way things are right now, Buffalo wins the AFC East.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like, honestly, like you said, Buffalo in some ways, they've kind of been a disappointment this year. So, honestly, I'd probably have to go New England on this one.
Really?
Just a gut feeling. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing in New England.
It'll
Well,
be
this-
in Buffalo. if
It
they
would
win
be
the
in
division.
Buffalo.
I'm
I
going
don't know,
Buffalo.
man.
I'm
Like
going
that- like that's-
Buffalo.
yeah.
To
I
me, the
kinda- I
weather
kinda-
played too much of a factor
It
in that
did.
first game.
Yeah, it
I mean,
screwed
Mac
me in a
Jones
lot
throwing
of
the ball
leagues.
3 times
And you run the ball 46 times.
like a
That was
champ yet,
crazy.
too.
Yeah.
Against the
Running
Buffalo
team-wise,
defense that hasn't given up a whole lot in the run game
They
this
haven't.
year.
The thing with Buffalo is they're too one-dimensional on offense, though. You
They
have
are.
Josh Allen, you have Stephon Diggs, but you don't really have much of a running game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't think Buffalo's going down without a fight. I
Oh,
think
no.
they're going to make it to. They may as well make it to the conference championship again. and lose to Kansas City again.
When they could have easily lost to the Colts last year in the first round and been out right away.
Yeah.
Right.
Philip Rivers was last game.
It's
Yeah.
funny that you say that Buffalo's a disappointment, though. But when it comes to a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen was ranked the #1 QB for fantasy wise. He was unstoppable this year.
And here's the other thing about Buffalo being a disappointment. Did we really think Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid weren't going to get their shit together?
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, the fact that they're rolling right now is no shock to anybody, I don't think.
They got hot at the right time. And not only did they get hot at the right time, but their defense especially.
I was just going to say the scary thing is
Yeah.
their defense is playing out
Because
of
their
their
defense,
minds.
their defense
like after
was
week
usually
9.
horrible.
There he goes.
Coop.
All right, so Tim, who do you got, Buffalo or New England? Buffalo.
Okay.
Okay. So Jake's riding that solo New England train. I'm not saying I don't like it at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
It
they
could
split.
happen.
if one of the two teams won both games, I would say it would be an easier pick, but because they split, it's tough.
This,
I mean,
yeah, this is definitely a hard pick.
It's kind of
Josh
really
Allen's good.
weird to say as someone that's followed football for so long, but I think Josh Allen is going to get his shit together this game and just be like, okay, but hopefully he doesn't put it all on the table to
Play
the
like
point
the
where
MVP we thought he was.
Yeah.
exactly. And then the next week he's just like, okay, well, we're going to give Devin Singletary the ball and let's see what he could do for 43 yards.
I'm with you, though, John. Don't be surprised if Buffalo's in the AFC Championship again this year. I think they have a strong chance to get that done.
Who knows? Sean McDermott might have something up his sleeve where he's going to pull something out of his,
Yeah.
play box here. Or
I mean,
toy
people
box.
forget he was a defensive coordinator in Philly for the longest time on some
Absolutely.
good defenses,
Yeah.
and he's a
I'm
good
looking at-
coach.
Carolina
is.
as well.
Yeah.
When
I'm
they
looking
made
at
the Super Bowl.
veteran over the new guy.
Right.
Yep.
That's why. I
And
take
let's
Josh
face it,
Allen
Mac
over
Jones is going to be a problem for the league for a long time, but Josh Allen's got the physical talent to be.
Oh yeah.
And sure enough, the veteran over the new guy, but at the same time, from a coaching perspective,
Oh God.
Sean McDermott, Bill Belichick,
I don't think that really matters at this point.
maybe. I don't
Talent.
know.
Look at the talent
Yeah.
Buffalo has defensively and offensively.
And New England had no talent
New
at
England,
all last
they
year.
they have Mac Jones. Their running game's running fantastic right now.
Yeah,
Their wide receivers are so-so.
it's suspect.
But you
Yeah.
give Mac Jones a really good wide receiver next year, or if maybe, because we were shocked. I'm not sure if you guys were shocked, but I was shocked to see Bill Belichick and that organization spend money this
Yeah.
offseason.
Oh yeah,
I was
That's
just going to
so
say,
rare
don't
of
be
them.
surprised. I don't know if there's a better tight end tandem in the league than Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. So don't be surprised if they get hot at the right time, too.
John Smith did some damage for me last year.
Right.
Not enough.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken,
even
Hunter
close
Henry,
to enough.
Hunter Henry's had the better stats there this year. So,
He did.
He did.
After like week 8, he blew up.
yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I can't go against Buffalo there, but I think the future, I mean, I hate to say it, but the future looks bright for New England. What a shock.
Last year was a mirage.
All right, this may be the toughest game to pick of the weekend. Cincinnati hosting Indianapolis.
Bengals.
Yeah? That confident?
I think they're on a run. I think they have a lot of
Yeah.
confidence going in.
For me, Cincinnati's another one of those teams, like, week to week, it's like, what are you going to get?
But
Yeah.
then again, India's too.
They are. But, I mean, with the
Like-
the Bengals, you go out and you beat the Chiefs last week, which is great. But then, I mean, look at the disappointing games they played this year, too, though.
Yeah.
That game they blew against the 49ers.
also-
Well, that's one thing. That's a good thing about being a Bengals. Because
And al-
nobody's like, oh,
Yeah.
can't
But-
believe they lost that.
But
Pretty
also,
sure somebody just threw a punch there at the end of that play from the Eagles.
Typical. They're
Yeah,
probably going to the
of course.
magistrate down the basement.
Yeah, I'm almost positive somebody just got punched in the face. Which should be an automatic ejection, but what do I know?
You're in Lincoln. There ain't no objections.
Well, this is a big kick here for Zerline because he missed. I mean, the Cowboys lost by 3 last week, and he missed a kick in that game. 48 yards. He
Josh, commentate this quick.
well, he should make this, but the way the year's
knock
gone,
on wood, Josh.
right down the middle, it's good. Needed that big time. Right, exactly. John, what do you think about the Cincinnati Buffalo or Indianapolis matchup?
You can't.
Look it right there.
Drunk again.
You can't count out Indy with that team, especially with JT there, but one-dimensional in my opinion, unless
too.
Carson Wentz pulls something out of his ass. But
The MVP, you mean?
I think Cincy's. Who would have thought that we'd be saying that Cincinnati's the overall favorite here?
Yeah.
But Cincinnati's way too hot right now, unless Frank Reich pulls something out and just completely blanks Joe Burrow defensively.
Right.
I think it's going to be Cincy all day. No doubt.
I'm going with the Colts in this one, guys.
Woo.
I think so. That run game we know is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Darius Leonard is probably, if not the best, one of the best linebackers in the league.
I think he's the most underrated.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, Cincinnati playoffs, they always find a way to screw it up.
Well, yeah. I mean, last time they won a playoff game, we were basically in
In diapers?
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. I won't disagree with you, though. Who knows with the NFL? But if you were a betting man, Cincy, just because of their offensive explosion. But like I said, if they could figure out a way that they could stunt Joe Burrow and that offense, that, like I said, I feel weird saying it. Cincinnati's offense is great.
Yeah.
You know,
And the thing with the Colts, too, is, like, if you shut down the run game, I don't know if Michael Pittman's necessarily scaring you to death.
T.Y.'s back. T.Y. Hilton's
Yeah.
a really good wide receiver.
Back in the day, he was, yeah.
He's not
I don't
good
know.
now.
It's,
He came back from injury. He's been playing great.
if the Colts can't get the run game going, I think they're going to have problems. But I think they will
Agreed.
be able to, and I think they win that game in an upset. That's just my opinion.
Now,
I love your opinion.
do you think if Frank Reich has Andrew Luck on his team, do you think we still have
Oh.
the same conversation?
Well, I think what you're seeing right now in Indianapolis is a perfect marriage because let's not forget that Carson Wentz year, he was on track to be MVP before he tore his ACL.
I remember seeing that.
And his offensive coordinator was Frank Reich in Philadelphia. So
Yep.
it makes sense that they would bring him in and run this team. And let's not forget, he had to play, I believe it was 75% of the snaps for Philadelphia to get a first-round pick in that trade. And ironically, for a guy that's been injury-prone his whole career, he met that standard, and Philadelphia gets a first-round pick for that. And they have 3 first-round picks next year, the Eagles do. So
That's crazy.
one of them is that Carson Wentz trade, which honestly you would say it probably worked out pretty well for the Colts. I mean, before that it was whoever they're trotting out there as backups. So Phillip Rivers, apparently they tried luring him out of retirement to come back for that game that Wentz missed with COVID. But I don't know. I honestly think the Colts could make a run here. I think
It's possible.
they're obviously a team that could play well in the cold weather. So if they have to go to Buffalo or Kansas City, that run game could travel.
Now, here's a question for you, and for you as well, Tim. Do you think that if Indy does beat Cincy, does that tarnish the season that Cincinnati had?
No.
Absolutely not.
No, because they
No.
were a bad team last year. I mean, the Cowboys, who were terrible,
It's probably
trounced
one of
them
their
with-
best seasons that I can remember.
Absolutely. The Cowboys
Andy
took Andy
Dalton
Dalton.
days.
The Cowboys took Andy
Red
Dalton to
Rifle.
Paul Brown Stadium last year and beat the Bengals.
Yeah.
Beat him pretty good, too.
Yep.
And so,
No, I can't. Just because, and that goes for any team too. Just because you lose a game doesn't mean you're having a crap season. It's just, okay, you lost the game, whatever. But for Cincinnati to lose against, like I said before, for Cincinnati to lose a game, people are gonna be like, oh, it's just Cincinnati, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that the season they're having right now has definitely exceeded what anybody
Oh,
else
yeah.
can think of.
Yeah, there's absolutely no shame whatsoever if Cincinnati
Absolutely
goes
not.
1 and done in the playoffs because honestly, no one even expected them to be
To
there.
even be anywhere near it.
right.
And that's the thing, like, if they do go 1 and done in the playoffs, you think to yourself, like, there's honestly,
another
yeah, there's not only another year, but there was also a lot of years ahead.
another notch in their belt.
Yeah.
They're getting closer and closer every year.
Mhm.
How about this question, which might be even tougher to answer than this matchup? Comeback player of the year, Dak or Joe Burrow?
Dak.
Oh wow, that's a tough one.
That honestly, I mean, at the beginning of the year, you would think Dak. Even
All
going
the
into the year, he was
respect
the
to
favorite.
Dak.
So,
I would think you
Burrow.
have to because it's a bigger name.
so the
It's
last
a bigger name, bigger team.
with the last 2 games that he's
True.
put up, Joe Burrow is
True.
is right behind Dak Prescott for the most passing yards in a 2-game stretch in NFL history.
See, I think you go. I think normally you would go Dak because it's like I said, a bigger team, a bigger name. But for we've been going back and forth about the season that the Bengals have had because I think it's because of Joe Burrow.
100%.
That's a very that
tough.
was a very good
Very good
question.
question.
It's tough to
Yeah.
answer.
That was a
'Cause-
yeah.
And no disrespect to Dak, because I
At
love
all.
Dak Prescott, but
I'm
I
not
think
saying
Joe Burrow.
I mean,
yeah.
if you could give out a comeback player of the year award, I think
Absolutely.
that'd be adequate.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is a possibility
That's
You know.
probably what I would do, honestly,
because
I think the majority goes for Dak because
because he plays for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
because of it.
and
But
really,
it's literally a hairline
It's razor thin.
yeah,
that you go with Joe because the guy the year before he had lost that many games in
Well,
college.
here's an argument that works against Dak is they went to Minnesota and won a game with Cooper Rush.
yeah.
Dude, I was just about to
And-
bring this up, too.
And not only that,
He was foaming
but
at the mouth. You see that?
Not only that, Josh, but ever since that injury, the performance it's sort of diminished
Yeah.
a little bit too. Whereas Joe, on the other hand, it seems like his performance has gotten better as the years
Oh,
gone on.
absolutely.
It has.
And here's the thing, too. You take Dak and Joe away from their teams for, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks.
They're 6 and
Whatever
11.
team does better, the other team should
Like
get
yeah, right.
get the
And
Yeah.
And it's a fair playing field because they both have an embarrassment of riches at receiver.
Yep.
They both have great running backs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough.
that was a great that was
that's a good
best
that was
question,
I've
man.
ever heard.
great
Yeah.
way to like
They both went down
Analyze
fairly
things.
early in the season, too.
what Josh said. That was a great way to analyze it though.
Yeah.
Is take the best player on the team take them out, and whoever struggles the most gets the MVP. Gets the
Player of
gratification
the year.
that they
Yeah.
need to.
And the tough question for Cincinnati is, who's their best player? Is it Joe Mixon or is it Joe Burrow?
Or is it
Or is it
Or
Joe?
Jamar Chase.
Or
for
is it
that
Jamar?
matter.
It's definitely Joe.
It's a Joe.
Yeah.
It's a Joe.
See, I don't think it's Jamar Chase because T. Higgins is great, Tyler Boyd is serviceable, and C.J. Ozuma, their tight end, is really good too. But
You got to push that.
you got to give Zach Taylor a ton of credit because it would have been easy to pack it in after the season they had
Oh,
last
yeah.
year.
Well, I think when we were here back in April, Josh, when we did our draft show, you even said that if Zach Taylor didn't win enough
That
this
was
year,
it.
that he was going to be sent packing.
Joe Burrow saved his ass.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just continuing what he did at LSU. Like, a lot of people forget he was at Ohio State before that. He was about to play for Urban Meyer, transfers, and wins a
Right.
national championship.
So,
So you going with Cincy then too, or Indy? It's a tough one.
it really is a tough one. I
It's
mean,
not
really,
your typical
these-
3-6 matchup.
No. Honestly, like I said, I like I really like what I've seen out of Cincinnati, and like I said, you have Jonathan Taylor, but I mean, really,
I know you being an
Wentz is-
AFC North guy, you can't get that past playoff experience out of your mouth with the Cincinnati Bengals.
But no, honestly, I do have a feeling in this matchup I could see them breaking that drought, that
Yeah.
30-year drought.
Because it's not the same Bengals. It's not Marvin
Oh no,
Lewis anymore.
it's not the Bungles anymore for
It's
sure.
not Carson Palmer. It's not Andy Dalton.
No,
I mean, let's face it, Joe Burrow is probably
Tim.
already on track to be the best quarterback they've ever had.
oh yeah,
Which
A
isn't
little bit of a
saying much,
scare.
but
yeah. We have Boomer Esiason,
Yeah.
of all people,
right. Achilles Smith.
Boomer.
You see,
Although
Jay.
Kenny Anderson was pretty decent back in the day. Though.
Yeah.
it was
All
on
right.
it was on the round apart, Jay. We got it. We got it good. We're good.
So we got to make a bit of a Nostradamus prediction on this next one. But do you think the Chiefs play? Do you think they host the Chargers or the Raiders?
Chargers.
I agree.
Chargers have too much talent to miss the playoffs.
And that game a few Thursdays ago in L.A., Chiefs-Chargers was probably one of the best games
Oh,
of the
it
year.
was.
oh yeah.
I mean, Travis Kelce proved why he's the best tight end in the league, but
But this is one of those deals I definitely got to go with Kansas City.
you would think ride the hot hand with Mahomes.
Although, but I think that the Chargers, like I said, the Chargers ever since they drafted Justin Herbert, they've always played them tough. So yeah, but like I said, Kansas City is just too good right now.
How about that Rams coaching tree, though? It's Staley and Taylor and McVay. I mean,
Yeah,
they're all over the place. So we're all going Kansas City there,
yeah. So
which is
obvious-
surprising because the Chargers have had a good season.
Yeah.
I just think they're a couple of years away yet.
Oh yeah.
Well,
They
if
need
it
to
was,
be-
if
they
it was
need to be
somebody
more
else besides
consistent.
Kansas City, I think
Yeah.
I would think of somebody else.
You got to strike while the iron's hot, though, because Austin Eckler is not going to be around forever.
No.
And, Joey Bosa, he's already been in the league 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
So,
So the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Tennessee Titans.
yeah, we'll give it to the Titans. I guess they'll beat Houston. Although I will say Houston's been competitive for most of the season.
Yeah,
Their
they
record
really
doesn't
have.
indicate
You
how
know,
well they've played.
Especially when everyone said that they were going to be the worst team in the NFL this year.
I mean, we talk about the turmoil the Raiders are in. I mean, Texans have
God.
a first-year head coach, Deshaun Watson. I mean,
Yeah.
he's on the roster, but he's inactive every
J.J.
week.
Watt's gone. DeAndre Hopkins is gone.
They lost more than probably any team
David
in the league.
Johnson. I mean, even though he's had injuries, but yeah, I mean, there's really like no true star power on the Texans right now.
Right.
Am I missing Titans on here or something?
You know what?
Well-
that might not have printed off either.
Yeah,
Where's that at?
right here.
They would have
Divisional?
the same place Green Bay is.
Yeah, same,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
right here.
So they'll be playing the winner of Buffalo New
They'll
New
play the
England.
worst
Right.
remaining seed, so they'll play.
They're going to play Buffalo.
For me, it's the Colts, but yeah, for you guys, it must be the Bills.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over to the AFC or NFC and hash out those first-round matchups. So we kind of laid out some scenarios earlier. It's possible that Dallas can move up to the 2 seed. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. I think more likely than not they face Arizona, who they played last week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what I said last weekend at my house on here because probably be canceled, but suffice to say that I wasn't very happy with the performance last week, and Dak's numbers don't show
Josh, what does it rhyme with?
duck.
Holy duck.
Yeah.
Holy duck.
Oh, I run amok.
Well,
What do you think, Josh?
Nowhere.
Let's ask you. You're the Cowboys fan
I'm
here.
going to make this easy. I can't, in good confidence right now, pick this team because they're so up and down. The offense, for whatever reason, has been non-existent for since the New England game, basically. Dak, I don't know what Dak's going to show up week to week. The defense is playing amazing. I mean, you hold Arizona to 20, 25 points, you should win. And unfortunately, a missed field goal here, a fumble there, it's out of control. And to top it off, the Cardinals are going to get some guys back. They're getting J.J. Watt back. They already activated his window. Hopkins might come back. I'm picking the Cardinals. It's just,
Really?
Yep.
Take that shirt off.
Someone
right
who's
now.
literally wearing a
Hey,
Dallas
he's a
shirt
realist.
and a Dallas hat.
And
I mean,
honestly,
do you
even-
have Dallas underwear on right now?
No, I don't. But
You should.
they didn't make the playoffs last year, and it was obviously an injury-riddled season with Dak and Tyron Smith and Collins and all those guys. But
You know what I like about it? Most people always fall to their own team. Just like in betting and stuff, that's why you never bet with your team during your
Don't bet with your
team's
heart.
game, because you will always lose.
Well, in an ideal world, what I'd love to happen is Dallas gets a 2 seed and somehow the Saints sneak into the playoffs. And I'd like to host the Saints that first game. That's who I'd want to play.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening. So
And
if they
lose to
face
the Saints?
Cardinals.
See, you're a realist.
No, I think they.
So you're a realist is what
yeah,
you're saying.
I'm a realist.
You're not just going to say, "Oh, Dallas for the win," just because
They're
you're a
not-
Dallas
They
fan.
weren't good enough last week, and
Yeah.
with key guys coming back, they're not going to be good enough once again. So, right here on air, I'm challenging Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn to get your shit together and play a better game.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's just how it is.
Jake's under watch.
So that's. I mean,
Just heard Jake giggle.
and you know what else too?
Wasn't sure if it was a schoolgirl
This is
or
a question
him.
I wanted to ask you guys before we go any further, and it has to do with fandom, because people say I'm crazy for putting my heart and soul into this team because they're like, oh, you don't play for the team.
You have a
don't do-"
passion.
You're crazy.
And that's just it. Like,
You have a passion.
you don't even know how many hours I put into this team every week, let alone during the season. Like,
Oh,
For
on their
years.
website,
Off season.
watching their shows, buying their
their
merchandise,
podcasts.
and year after year for the last 26 years, they just continue to let me down, and I've had enough of it.
I'll never forget that
So you're
divisional
becoming a Steelers
game.
fan?
Oh God,
The divisional game between the Cowboys and the Vikings.
good old Keith Brooking.
Yeah. I'll never forget watching that with you, Josh, because I
That coffee
honestly,
table still broke.
I honestly thought Dallas was going to beat Minnesota that game.
Okay, so not to cut you off, but it was 5 days before Christmas. I get a phone call at work. John from Plymouth.
It's
And it was-
Donald Trump.
And it was the. I actually did talk to Donald
Yes, he
Trump
did.
on the phone. I did.
Jake's the only one here to
Swear
talk
to
to
God.
Donald
That's
Trump.
for another day.
Swear
That's
to
for
God.
another day.
Yeah, that's a story in itself. But so John from Plymouth called me at work. It was the day that the Vikings were playing the Bears on Monday Night Football, and sure enough, that got brought into the discussion. And here we are, almost 12 years later to the day. John from Plymouth still has that same coffee table with the leg missing.
There's a lot of things that are still broken in that house. 'Cause of me.
Yeah. What was that story?
Try to get into his house with a
What was
vice
that
grip.
story when you didn't you try giving Timmy and Laura like a PS4, but it was like you had to look for controllers that weren't smashed.
Yeah. I went through a lot of controllers when I was younger.
Oh,
And
I remember. I remember playing Madden
We know-
against you.
I
Jake,
actually
we,
shattered my bedroom mirror.
Jake, we
over
know
a game of
people like
Madden
that.
once.
We do know people like that, Tim.
Yeah.
I know people like that.
uh-huh.
Yeah, let's say I'm a bit of a hothead when it comes to my team, but
Same here.
Laura
I'm
used
not
to tell
picking
me
him.
all the time, and like I used to come and watch games with you, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Oh, he's calmed down."
yeah. Well, I guess my high blood pressure diagnosis calmed me down a little bit.
10 years back
Same,
watching a Cowboys game with Joshua Manley.
You were in the other room. You
have,
saw a coffee table going against
you
the
have
wall.
to take a helmet with you to watch it.
No, my favorite story was the time when you were playing Madden. You were playing Madden, and I think Laura said she saw a controller just go flying across the living room.
Justin and Alicia could tell you stories too
Yeah.
from Steeler games. Like the one I thought was over, and I'm in on the computer playing all these songs like the game's over, running around the house with my Cowboys flag, and the next thing you know, Romo throws a pick six, and it's all over.
Deshae Townsend. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. Who are you guys picking in that game? Dallas, Arizona.
I'll just say
You-
I'm going Arizona.
You've been on the Arizona train all year.
I
I mean,
have
here we
been.
go with another. I mean, Kyler Murray is just two teams that are up and down all season long. They're
I have to eat Major Crow here because I said going into the year I just didn't really see or buy into that Arizona hype. And they, like I said, I was definitely wrong on that. I got to go with Arizona.
So everybody's going to Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going Dallas.
It's all right.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
$5?
Go
$5
boys.
apiece? $5 a piece, or
Oh God.
How about them Cowboys?
how about them Cowboys?
All right. As of right now, we have Tampa Bay hosting San Francisco. Although that could change if they end up losing to the Rams. You could see New Orleans sneak into that spot. Philadelphia could move around a little bit. There's lots of things that can happen there. But I guess
Right.
we'll pick it as if it's Tampa Bay, San
Lifetime.
Fran right now.
Definitely Tampa Bay, but honestly, I just don't see them going back to back. Just not
No.
the Antonio Brown situation, but I mean really the amount of injuries on both sides of the ball. When you look at Chris Godwin done for the year with a torn ACL, you look at Leonard Fournette, you look at and especially that defense in the secondary, that defense that was so crucial to that Super Bowl run last year.
Fournette might be back though.
Yeah, Fournette might be back, but like I said, I just think there's too many injuries for Tampa. I see them winning in the wild card round, but sadly, I just don't see them going back to back.
And it'd be
Here's-
just like Tom Brady to run the table and win it all again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say San Fran wins this game.
I could see
Hey.
that.
And I don't hate the Tampa Bay
Oh, no.
Buccaneers.
It's going to come down to that quarterback play again, though. Like that defense at Tampa is still legit.
Tom Brady
Yeah.
versus his predecessor that was supposed to be,
Yeah.
but never
Or
came to fruition.
maybe Trey Lance,
Yeah.
though.
And knowing that Jimmy's going to be on the trading block once the season is over.
Oh, yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
you're going to see what San Fran did in the beginning of the year against Detroit. I think you're going to see that come back in this game where Trey Lance comes in for a game or two and he
Or a play or two. Yeah.
Yep, and you're going to see him throw a bomb. I honestly think it's going to be San Fran's going to come through and win this game, but it's going to be a very close game.
You know what the thing about San Francisco is? They play tough between
They do.
Nick Bosa and Samuel and I don't know how, but they just keep churning out running backs left and right.
Oh, yeah,
And that's the thing, like,
by
honestly,
committee.
the last 15, 16 years, the league has evolved really into more of a passing league. It's not the smash mouth league that it was back in the day. Like, say, Jerome Bettis, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders. You know, it's not that. And, I mean, really, Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, they're really the last team that has that true old-school smash-mouth football on both sides of the ball.
Right. Yeah, all that being said, though, I'm with John, or Jake. I'm going Tampa Bay.
Another thing I want to add really quick that has nothing to do with this playoff picture is any team nowadays that has the type of offensive weapons like Dallas does, like Minnesota does, not to be a homer here, but I'll pick my team for a second here. Kirk Cousins had a fantastic year,
He did.
but you give him a player, you give Minnesota a player like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, something like that, that team's totally different.
Now, John, answer me this. If they had a healthy Adam Thielen down the stretch, do you think they'd be a playoff team?
He was pretty much healthy all year except for the last couple games, but it's all about finishing the games out.
What a compliment to Jefferson, though. I mean, you have to say that
Oh, my
Jefferson's probably
God.
the number one there now.
That's why it's hard to say that. Like, I would agree with you when you said that Minnesota was a very, disappointing team this year. Watching week 1 to week 4, I'm watching this team. I'm like, why are they losing these games?
And don't forget, they lost Irv Smith Jr. in the beginning of the season. That was a big loss.
Huge loss.
Don't sleep
Now their tight end came through,
Yeah.
and he's playing very well, but Irv Smith he's a totally different player.
Dalvin Cook missed some time.
Dalvin, that's another thing too. I love Dalvin Cook, but it's just like we need help. But Alexander Madison, he's pretty much Dalvin Cook 2.0.
Yeah. Everson Griffin was having a decent year until his mental health went out the window.
It's just all these things just come to the table, and that's why a lot of these teams, who do you have in your reserves? Because if you don't have a good reserve, your team's screwed.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing the teams that are doing really well right now are doing what they're doing.
And unfortunately, it's probably going to cost a coach that I have a lot of appreciation for in Mike Zimmer's job.
Me too. And I'll say this, and I don't want to talk about my team too much and take up too much time, but Mike Zimmer brought this team from where they were in ashes up to at least plus 500.
But they haven't been able to get over the hump. That's
They
the
have.
issue.
That's the thing, though. So it's like it's bittersweet, but it's one of those things where, I mean, if Minnesota, Kirk Cousins played very well this year.
Right.
And I think you drafted him, didn't you? In our one league?
Maybe 2 years ago. It wasn't this year.
Okay.
Last year it was.
I know somebody was very hot on Kirk Cousins, and he did fantasy-wise very well.
He did.
But, yeah, you're throwing a lot of touchdowns, but you're not winning games.
Yeah.
You're not the reason why you win football games. Like Dak Prescott will be the reason why Dallas wins a football game.
Or loses.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where Minnesota, they could be, 12-5 right now.
The difference is Aaron Rodgers will never be the reason why the Packers lose. It's going to be a defensive
Somebody
mistake
else.
or Aaron Jones
Every
fumbles.
single time.
And I'm not saying that because I hate Aaron Rodgers, but he's not the reason why they lose games.
Nope.
And granted, he's, in my opinion, the best quarterback to ever play the game.
He is so
100%.
perfect.
But
He's so perfect in games that it's like you said. If they lose, you can't even word, like even put your mouth to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's always and it's not like, it had nothing to do with me. It really didn't. It had nothing to do with him. It just
Unless he
the
has 4
defense
interceptions.
falls apart. Or well, if he has interceptions, but
Yeah.
it's been 519 passes and he's had 4 interceptions.
Insane.
But
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this time and time
And
again where people
he
say,
did it
"Oh, he's
last
got
year.
Devontae Adams and he's got Donald Driver and he's got all these guys, Randall Cobb."
One guy.
But yet these guys go elsewhere and they're
Yeah.
not putting up those numbers because
Jordy
it's Aaron
Nelson was
Rodgers
another
that-
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordy Nelson took a big
This is-
contract with the Raiders and didn't
if-
do anything.
If Aaron Rodgers does, because Aaron Rodgers is at that right now, 500, I think it was 518
Yeah.
or 519 passes
He's never thrown a lot of
with
picks,
No.
4 interceptions. He did it last year.
and he stayed
He
relatively
did the same
healthy.
thing last year.
All right,
If he does it again this year, I think it's a NFL record.
agree or disagree
That better
around
not
the
be a
table here.
fumble.
Aaron Rodgers, most accurate quarterback in NFL history.
100%.
What's that?
Most accurate quarterback in NFL
Look
history.
That's
no
no
further
question.
than 2016 when he threw a frozen rope to Jared Cook on the sideline
Mm-hmm.
after he got blindsided and held on to the down
Right.
football when Jeff Heath nailed him.
And that's coming from a
And-
diehard Vikings
Yeah,
fan.
and-
I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback I've seen play football ever. Tom Brady
That's-
is good. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is better
That's
than
the
Tom
thing.
Brady.
I mean,
From a talent
well,
standpoint, it's
Tom-
not even close.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Tom, the thing is, Tom is, I guess you could say, mentally clutch, but to me, Aaron is more. I mean, he's great, but to me, he's clearly more athletically gifted, in my opinion.
If
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers
And-
goes to Minnesota, I will get his face tattooed on my ass.
All right.
You hear that, Facebook land?
Oh,
And-
Facebook.
I'm going to say this too. Mark my words. 15 years from now, I think we're going to be saying the similar things about Pat Mahomes.
Oh,
Oh, God, yeah.
absolutely. He's so
Without a
good.
question.
He's got a chance to be the best of all time because he's been to the Super Bowl the last 2 years. From an arm talent standpoint, it's him and Rodgers. I mean, they're right up there.
and
No question.
arguably could have been in the Super Bowl the last 3 years
Right.
when you think of it.
Right.
He's good.
Aside from all those bullshit calls that the Patriots got in the championship game.
They
that
lost
one
in
year.
overtime, right?
Yeah.
So,
The fact that he won a Super Bowl at such a young age,
how about those last 3 years, though? 2 Super Bowls and an overtime loss in the championship game. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Phenomenal.
Andy Reid or not, do you think if Andy Reid's there, that he does
Not
as well
as
as he
good.
does?
No.
No, honestly, I think, and part of the reason people talk about, like why doesn't Eric Bieniemy get a head coaching job?
Is that another passing
Go.
touchdown from
Yep.
Dak?
Yep. Another one to
right.
Cedric Wilson, too. I
8
hope you picked
points?
him up.
That's bullshit. That's garbage.
But anyway, I think part
I'll
of the
take
reason
14.
I think part of the reason why Eric Bieniemy, I wonder still to this day why he's not a head coach. I think he's definitely Andy's successor when he retires in a
Yep.
few years.
Now,
I would never admit this when he's in Philadelphia, but I think Andy Reid's one of the most underrated coaches ever.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
No,
I
I'll admit
wanna-
that now.
I
Especially
want to
with them
throw this out
cheeseburgers.
there. I was going to say this earlier, but I was waiting for the right time. If Mike Zimmer does go from Minnesota to a different team or goes back to being a DC, I want to see Eric Bieniemy in Minnesota.
That'd be
Really?
awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh, I even told Kyle. I said honestly, I think probably the best fit for the Raiders would be Eric Bieniemy.
The hottest.
Obviously,
I don't
within-
care about
within the
what happened in
division.
Colorado with him
I think,
at all.
Yeah.
I think you want Doug Peterson. Honestly, that's my opinion.
And,
I
and
want
that's
Eric
the thing,
Bieniemy, man.
And that's the thing. Doug, he's a Super Bowl champion, and I think in a lot of ways that offense that he had in Philadelphia, I could definitely see it in Minnesota. That same West Coast offense.
Yeah.
That's what they've always been.
Mhm.
But
And Kirk Cousins is way better than Nick Foles, in my opinion.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Foles just had some kind of magic with Philadelphia. That's I don't know how to explain it.
yeah.
I think Kirk Cousins is gone. Though. I heard that he's on the trading block too.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Who knows
they'd
in
be-
the
they'd be-
offseason?
Dude, they'd be.
I
They're gonna
like
get rid of
Kirk.
him after
Yeah.
the best season of his career.
That's what Minnesota does.
Hey, trade him to Pittsburgh. I've always been a fan.
Yeah, I'd
Mark
take him
it.
in a heartbeat.
Market right now. But I've been saying this for months now. Eric Bieniemy, if he gets a head coaching job, and if Mike Zimmer does leave, I'd love to see him there in Minnesota.
And it's pretty much all but confirmed. Zimmer's done after tomorrow.
Yeah.
He has to be.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get on the next one there.
What about the Rams hosting the Eagles?
Yeah, we're pretty far into this.
Rams.
We're
Sorry.
2 hours and 40 minutes
Sorry,
into it.
guys.
Yeah, Rams. No
No.
one's taking Eagles, I don't think. Right?
No.
No, not a chance.
Go
it's,
Birds.
It's just a blessing that they made it. Honestly.
Who knows?
Oh yeah, stranger things have happened.
It
I
has.
mean, this is like I said, this is a team that everybody this year thought was going to be the worst in the National Football League as far as the NFC is concerned.
If Matt Stafford keeps turning the ball over like he's been, then the Rams could
Like
be in
he's
trouble.
done his whole career. I mean, when you have a 10-71 record against winning teams, you know,
Yep.
Oh, we got
Don't count out Philadelphia's defense.
No,
they're very underrated.
they are.
Tommy Vitale's watching.
Oh,
Glad to see you're doing better, bud.
yeah. Still not talking Evergreen though.
Not yet.
So this is where it gets tricky for you guys because you guys have Tennessee, Buffalo. I actually had Indy winning, so it's different for me. I'm gonna have I'll have Tennessee facing Indianapolis instead.
Okay.
So,
But
you guys-
say that again, Josh.
so I picked Indianapolis to beat Cincinnati, so they'll play Tennessee, but you guys have them playing Buffalo.
Playing Buffalo, yeah.
Okay.
So who do you think there?
Man, you know, the tough thing is when you have home field advantage, as we've seen the past couple of years, you guys in 2016 is a prime example. When you rest starters that last week of the season, it bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
And not only, I mean, I would imagine Ryan Tannehill is going to be out there tomorrow. But I'm talking about
course.
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has not played a game since Halloween. And, yeah, it's good that he's going to be fresh and ready to go.
But
But
that's the thing. Is
honestly,
he going to be
I-
fresh and ready to go?
We know
Yeah.
there's a big difference
So,
between practice reps
honestly,
and game
yeah.
reps.
As much as I would love
Especially
to see,
after
It's
a
Derrick
injury.
Henry,
yeah,
though.
as much, and that's the thing, man. Like, he's a monster. I mean, God, you could hand him the ball 35 times a game, and he could rush for.
I mean, the dude's still top 10 in
220
rushing
on any
despite
given
missing,
Sunday.
what, 8 games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
8 weeks
But
already.
honestly, I just,
Crazy.
man, that rust and the amount of injuries that they have, I'm just,
This
I
might
just
be
see
the
them
least
going one
confident
and
you've
done.
felt about a number 1 seed in a while.
yeah, honestly,
Here's the thing, though. I think if injuries and COVID had nothing to do with that, I think that he would be number 1. No doubt.
In fantasy or what?
No, rushing yards.
Oh, okay.
Derrick
Oh, no
Henry,
doubt,
if he
yeah.
did get
Yeah,
hurt
if-
or if
He
COVID
was number
wasn't
one
a
in
thing-
rushing yards for eight weeks,
But it goes
Yeah.
back
and he
to
wasn't
my,
even playing.
it goes back to my prediction earlier or before the season even started. It's a workload injury.
right.
And when you have a guy that's getting 300-400
That's
touches
your
a year,
your entire offense rolls around
that's
him.
what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Julio
'Cause-
Jones, let's face it, you can't count on him anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw when the Titans went on that playoff run 2 years ago when they beat New England, ended the dynasty.
Yeah.
And
Defense.
yeah, well, not only the defense and Derrick Henry when they beat them, when they beat the Ravens, another one that rested starters. By the time that we got to the championship game, Ryan Tannehill, it was exposed to how limited he really is a quarterback. And I
Right.
mean, even last year when they lost to the Ravens in the playoffs.
Right. So it sounds like you guys are maybe going Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm going Buffalo.
I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
that team's going to get hot in the playoffs. I really think they are.
He always does, though. He's always
Buffalo?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's always Josh Allen is always for some reason he's always pinpoint
Yeah.
when it comes to the playoffs. Where
And
where
there's
it
a guy
counts.
that, he went to a Division I school, but it's Wyoming. We don't talk about Wyoming
Yeah,
football
we
too
don't-
often.
we don't care
Okay,
about
Chris
Wyoming football.
Collinsworth. Now there's a guy.
Now here's a guy.
All right, so I have Indianapolis traveling to Tennessee, and I'm actually going to take the Colts there.
Yeah.
I think the Colts go on the road and upset the
Wow.
Titans.
All right.
What?
That's what
Damn.
I'm saying.
Dude, the look on your face is priceless. What?
What?
Yeah.
I mean, so what happened with the Colts in Tennessee earlier in the year? Was it a sweep or a split?
Titans swept them.
Okay. So it's hard to beat a team 3 times.
It is.
I'm going Colts.
Minnesota's done it before, though.
And then the other matchup, you guys have Cincinnati against Kansas City. Rematch of last week.
Kansas City gets revenge.
That's tough.
Absolutely.
At Arrowhead, yeah. That's
As much as I'd love to see the Bengals beat them, I
I was
can't
gonna
see
say
them doing it
that's
twice.
That's where the magic ends for Cincinnati.
yeah.
I
probably.
can't see him doing it twice.
Who knows though? I think it'll be a very close game.
I'll tell you right now,
It will.
if
How
if
about
I
what
get
I
a
have to
good
pick? I have Buffalo against Kansas
if
City.
I get a good percentage for the Bengals to like given points, I'll take that all day long.
Oh yeah,
But
for
I
a betting
can't see them
percentage.
being favored to win.
Like if it's Cincy +3,
I'd take that all day long.
absolutely.
So I have Buffalo heading to Arrowhead to face the Chiefs.
And they beat the crap out of Kansas City
I'm
in
taking the
Arrowhead
Bills.
back in
Yeah.
October.
I'm sticking to my guns. I'm taking the Bills. So
Yep.
that sets up for me an AFC Championship of Buffalo, Indianapolis, and you guys have Kansas
Buffalo,
City and
Kansas
Buffalo,
City.
right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
And that to me is the toughest one to decide on.
it is.
Yeah.
I already know who I'm picking.
Yeah.
You want to pick that one now or go to the NFC?
Let's go NFC.
All right.
yeah.
Set
Save
up,
it.
Set up the playoff picture.
Save it. Yeah.
We've got the Cardinals traveling to Lambeau.
Green Bay.
Go Paco.
Redemption.
Good luck, Arizona.
Yeah.
Redemption.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Warm weather team going to play in
You better
sub-zero
show-
weather.
When
You
it's gonna
better
be
show
like
up with-
14 below.
Yeah.
You better
Yeah.
show up with like 28 other teams.
Right.
Yeah.
You
And-
couldn't write it any better. Though.
No.
And
you
honestly, I never give a whole lot of credence to the whole, warm weather team going to a cold weather stadium type of deal. But I don't think Kyler Murray's play style is suited for that type of
No.
environment.
Nope.
I think
You
he
can be
comes
as
back.
ready as you think you are, but as soon as you get there, you're
Matt,
not.
Matt Stafford might be equipped to go play in that, but Kyler Murray,
No.
no way.
Now here's where I disagree with you, because I think because of what happened, was that Thursday night football between
It was.
Arizona and Green Bay?
Yeah, that
I
was
think
Arizona's
this is
first loss.
them saying, "Hey, you guys got us last time, but we're going to get you this time because we're going to come with a different approach."
You do have to wonder what kind of DeAndre Hopkins are getting back in a couple weeks if he does come back.
And a healthy Chase Edmonds, a healthy James Conner,
Somewhat
RIP
healthy J.J.
Pittsburgh.
Watt.
Yeah. So I mean, they were missing a lot of their key players in that game.
Isaiah Simmons played a hell of a game last week against Dallas. He's a guy to watch
Yeah.
out for.
I think that's going to be if Arizona and Green Bay do end up playing that type of game, I think you're going to see it's going to be a very low scoring game.
I think Green Bay wins by at least 2 touchdowns. That's my prediction.
10
I think Green Bay
10
wins.
points.
I think Arizona wins. I mean,
Now, what would you say if, let's say, Dallas upsets the Cardinals and they have to go to Lambeau?
I think Dallas wins that.
Really?
And I'm not saying that because I'm a Minnesota
Think of the
Vikings
storylines.
fan.
McCarthy going back to Lambeau. Last time they were there was the infamous Des Bryant catch, no catch.
That,
Yeah.
that he didn't catch?
It was a catch.
He
If-
caught it.
If
Ball-
that
never
works
saw the
out,
ball hit the ground.
if that works out that way, I think Dallas comes. I think Micah Parsons is going to be the reason why.
For as long as I'm alive.
Oh, I'd love to see Parsons smack Aaron
Aaron
will tell Josh
Rodgers
that wasn't a
hates
catch.
linebackers.
He hates getting hit, period.
Yep.
What's that, Tim?
For as long as I'm alive, I will tell Josh that wasn't a catch.
But it was. But it was.
I think that Dallas defense gives Aaron Rodgers fits
Right.
and just
Yeah.
he'll have a decent game, but he's not going to have a great game to the point where Dallas is going to win that game.
You know who I don't want to see running full speed at me in that weather is A.J. Dillon. That's one.
Yeah. Jason Boone
He's a
said it the
monster.
other
He's
day.
a BAM.
That's
That's what I
a-
call a BAM, a badass mother effer.
That's a pretty potent combo that they have
Yeah.
with him and Aaron Jones.
Although Elliott and Pollard isn't too much of a slouch either,
Nope.
but yeah, it's beside the point.
Yeah.
And then you got Tampa Bay possibly traveling to the Rams, which they played earlier in the season as well.
Go
Rams
Tampa
beat
Bay.
them.
I think Tampa gets revenge.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Rams.
I'm with you.
Mm.
If the Rams go or if Tampa goes, who knows? It might be San Fran versus the Rams.
Cooper Kupp has been indefensible this year.
He has.
And for a guy that ran 4.6 and coming out of Western Kentucky, I mean, that's impressive as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's better than Wes Welker and Edelman and all those guys.
And look who's had thrown to him though.
Mediocre quarterbacks.
Well,
Great run games, great defenses, but mediocre quarterbacks. And
great wide receiver.
he's and now you got Beckham. Higbee's a great tight end.
And Cam
Van
Akers
Jefferson.
is coming back.
Yeah, Cam
Yeah,
Akers.
running game. I know
And
you
they
don't
already-
like Matt Stafford, but
And
what
just
an
the-
upgrade!
That son of a bitch has screwed me so many times in fantasy.
What an upgrade, though.
Every
from
time
their
I draft
quarterback.
him,
If you
he
guys
throws
haven't
pick
noticed, Jake has a
sixes.
hard time putting his bias aside.
Yeah. Well, I
do it.
mean, 10-71 against winning teams. Yeah.
he's
but
had
yet-
a great year though.
But yeah, he's had a great year. But the thing, and I'm just saying with Matt, this is
Rookie.
by far his best team, his best coaching staff. There is absolutely no excuses now. All the excuses are out the window this time around. I mean,
And just
he's-
think
he's
they're
gotta
doing all this
perform.
without Robert Woods.
Yeah,
Lost him for the
that
year.
was a big loss.
How crazy was it that Robert Woods came or
And still
Odell
practiced.
came in and then
Yeah.
Robert
He
Woods
tears
went
his ACL like the next day.
And he
Yeah.
still practiced with it yet, too.
Yeah.
BAMF.
All right, so NFC title-wise, I have Green Bay Rams. What do you guys have?
Green Bay, Tampa.
Green Bay rematch of last year.
Yeah, rematch.
Absolutely,
Honestly,
yep.
it's kind of shaping up like rematches the last
And
year.
you could make the
Mine's
argument
different.
that, minus some LaFleur questionable coaching decisions, Green Bay should have won that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, they
Aaron
should've.
Rodgers had all this green in front of him. He decides to throw the fucking ball for some reason.
I have Arizona, Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. All right. Another third game rematch.
Did I say Green Bay? No, I said Arizona.
You said
right?
Arizona.
Arizona, Los Angeles.
All right, so AFC-wise, I have Buffalo, Indy.
I have Buffalo, KC.
Buffalo, KC.
I might just ride this Jonathan Taylor thing right to the Super Bowl, honestly.
I'm
I'm dead serious.
Stick with it.
I mean,
What section are you sitting in?
Touchdown, Josh.
yeah, I'm going to buy a Super Bowl ticket to watch Jonathan Taylor not only win MVP, but Super Bowl MVP. I'm going to go Indy. I'm just going to write it. Just gonna
Indy
write
to
it.
the Super Bowl.
Indy to the Super Bowl.
That's
Mark
sick.
it down.
Number 6 seed.
Best
Hardly
running
ever
back
does
in the
it happen.
playoffs.
Hey, I mean, it makes sense to look at their coaches.
Yeah.
Second best offensive guard in the playoffs. Quentin Nelson. I got to take my boy Zach Martin first.
That
but-
O-line, though.
Yeah. Hey, Mark Lewinsky went to GAR, don't forget.
He did.
Hey.
Yeah, so I'm going Indy. You guys have a different matchup, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
You guys all have
I've-
Buffalo, KC?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like we talked about. I mean, well, we were actually at Riverside that day when Kansas City fell to 3-4. And I remember you're like, oh yeah, looking like a real MVP. And that was actually when the Titans knocked out Patrick Mahomes. He got a concussion in that game.
Yeah.
And so at this point, you're thinking like, yeah, typical Super Bowl hangover. Team that loses the Super Bowl, they have like such a bad year the following year. But honestly, I would have to say, Josh, probably it was the Sunday night game against the Raiders in Vegas, and then it was when they played when you guys went to Arrowhead the next week, and I thought to myself like that defense looks stout for the first time in the Andy Reid era.
You're talking about the
And-
Cowboys defense that hold Pat Mahomes to 19 points, right?
Well, yeah,
That was impressive.
yeah, it was.
But
But
I know what
honestly,
you're saying.
at that point, and just the way that it's sort of evolved, like since then, these past 2 months, I just think, I know they lost to Cincinnati, but I just think Kansas City is, there's like I talked about, getting hot at the right time.
I heard an analysis today that makes a lot of sense with Kansas City and how their turnaround kind of happened. So, if you remember early in the year, Mahomes was taking deep shots to Hardman,
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, all those guys.
Yeah.
They simplified the offense, and it's more of a check down style. So, if you notice the last couple weeks, it's more Darrell Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back. He should be back for the playoffs. A lot more of this, short stuff rather than taking the shots down the field.
Well, the biggest thing
And then,
is
of course, the defense.
you check your on your play when after the play's in motion, you have to see what your main A and B wide receivers are.
Yeah.
Did they get free of the little bounce check that the D-back is getting at them? Did they clear him? How you got your 2 or 3 step back? Do you see? Does he have 2 to 3 steps past him?
Right.
If he has 2 or 3 steps past him, then you make sure you engage him. Maybe look him off, and then look over,
Yeah.
and then throw to see if he got it. But the checkdowns are your safety. That's your safety net,
Right.
because they're 90% of the time open. Your A and B are technically your backup, but they're also your main. But it only takes a few seconds to find out if they're open or not.
And if you have a howitzer for an arm like Mahomes does, of course
Right.
you're going to want to go for the
Right.
big play down
Absolutely.
after down.
Especially when you got good wide receivers that know
Yeah.
how to get open.
And the best tight end in the league.
But that's
although
why
George Kittle's pretty good.
that's why you always use your checkdowns and everything, because Tyreek Hill can be open 90% of the time.
You throw him a little bubble screen, he could go 90 yards for a touchdown.
Right. You can
He's so
a
fast.
little 5
Yeah.
yard out. He can turn it upfield and turn it up for 26 yards.
Right. So with all that being said, are you guys taking Buffalo or KC? That's so tough.
And only because I'm really going with what I said at the beginning of the year, I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah.
Only specifically because of how their offense is running right now, and more so because of how their defense is playing.
Who's the more dangerous quarterback right now, Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes?
Pat Mahomes.
Even with Josh
Although-
Allen's running ability?
Josh Allen.
Absolutely.
Eh,
Don't
eh.
forget about Pat Mahomes' running ability.
You said that pretty convincingly. You sound sure of that.
I'm 100% sure.
Man,
Look what he did
if
tonight.
I'm starting a team tomorrow, I don't know which one I'm taking.
Look what he
Take
did
Josh
tonight.
Allen. Absolutely. To
I'll-
me, I-
now-
Kind of leaning
100%.
your way.
Don't get me wrong. I love
100%.
Buffalo. I love what they've done with that team. When Sean McDermott's done with that team, Josh Allen,
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, I miss you. But like just everything. Even Dawson Knox this year.
He had a quietly good
Just-
season.
That team's really coming to fruition. But like Kansas City, still, in my opinion, the team to beat. They're becoming the New England Patriots of old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think Kansas City's one of those teams where they've had some really
There he goes.
off weeks where they've lost a few games here and there. But I think Kansas City is going to play substantially well in the playoffs here, and I think they're going to end up in the Super Bowl
Yeah.
again.
And the difference could very well be that the game's at Arrowhead instead of in Buffalo.
That too.
But they did win at Arrowhead back in October.
And
Yeah.
I won one of those games for my fantasy league, at
Yeah.
least one game.
Are you taking Buffalo, Tim? Yeah. And Jake, you're taking
KC.
KC. All right.
Because I like Josh
So
Allen.
I have the Colts in the playoffs, and you guys have either Buffalo or KC. NFC-wise, my championship game is the Rams and Green Bay.
Green Bay.
And you guys have Tampa and Green Bay, right?
Yeah, Tampa and Green
Or
Bay.
you have Arizona
I
and
have Arizona and Los Angeles.
ooh. That would be at LA. Or for me, it would be in Green Bay.
So
And I'm
inside.
taking the Packers. I'm taking the Packers. I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers is not only the best quarterback in this playoff bracket, but the best of all time, in my opinion. He's only been to one Super Bowl, which is completely mind-blowing.
I wish you didn't have to bring it up.
I think a lot of that has to do, honestly, with coaching decisions, if you look back on it.
Don't forget about the.
I mean, the 15-1
players
season
around
when the
him.
Giants beat him in Lambeau, I mean, that was uncalled for. I don't know if Mike McCarthy made Rodgers or the other way around, but he's doing it again for LaFleur, so it's probably
Yeah.
Rodgers.
Yeah, because that's the thing, Josh. Like I read it just the other day. Matt LaFleur, he's 39-9 in the regular season.
Yeah.
He's never lost back-to-back games, but
We know how.
I mean, really, look at how pedestrian their offense was when
Right.
they had to miss
Absolutely.
when Aaron had to miss the Kansas City game because of COVID.
Yeah. And they have a
I'll return the favor.
double-headed monster at running back, like we said, with Dylan
Yeah,
and
Dylan
Jones.
Jones.
So.
Don't forget about their offense, though. Even when Green Bay went to the Super Bowl and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, no offense, they had
None
who?
taken.
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams was there, right?
And
Or am
Charles
I wrong?
Woodson left
I
that
don't,
game
I don't
early,
think
too.
Devontae was there yet, but sure enough, they had Donald Driver, they had Greg Jennings.
Yep,
they
yeah, I'm
had-
sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
They had Greg Jennings, great
Mhm.
wide receiver.
Yeah.
Donald Driver,
Tight end. I'm trying to remember their tight end.
Mercedes.
No, it wasn't
No.
Mercedes Lewis.
Might have been the guy
Regardless,
that broke
Yeah.
his neck.
regardless, they had
Barnett.
three
Yeah.
three wide receivers that were just fantastic.
Yeah.
And their defense is playing really well this
Fantasy
year, too.
football pickups of
Yeah.
course because they were that good.
Yeah.
You know who's actually surprising me this year, and as a Michigan guy, I hate to say this, but Rashawn Gary's having a great second season
Oh yeah.
in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And I heard that he's a hard worker too.
Yeah.
That he studies a lot of film.
Right.
Charles Woodson.
Yeah, I have a
They
bad
had
taste in my
defense
mouth
and
after Taco.
offense.
Yeah. And that was really the only time in the Mike McCarthy era that their defense was really that stout. They were definitely a
Absolutely.
top 5 defense that year.
And that's
with Don
why they won
Capers.
that year.
Then they have
Mhm.
J.R. Alexander coming back now, so they're only going to
Yeah.
get better.
Fantastic. But I still think if I'm going to talk about my bracket, Arizona and Los Angeles, I think Arizona wins that.
Yeah, because that was your
Man, you're
preseason
riding that
pick.
Arizona train hard.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've been saying
They're
at the
a good
beginning of the year,
It's the Boomer Sooner, Kyler
Boomer
Murray
Sooner.
train, the
That-
wagon.
Yeah.
and I just something about that offense and that defense. And like you said, J.J. Watt coming back,
Yeah.
him and Chandler Jones on each side,
Granted, he's got like a torn bicep and a torn rotator cuff and all this other stuff.
put
But
duct tape on it.
yeah, he'll just put a brace on everything and
He
play robotic.
He's going to look like the, what's that guy from the Wizard of Oz? The
He's going to
Tin
look
Man.
like the Fox mascot, the robot guy.
Exactly. But I honestly think I'm really riding this Arizona KC train for the rest of the year because of just how everything's coming
Coming together.
together now, right now. So I think it's going to be Arizona, KC, in the Super Bowl still.
And then, Tim, you had a Green Bay, Tampa Bay.
Green Bay, Tampa Bay.
Who are you taking there?
And you said it was in Green Bay?
Yeah.
I go Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Battle of the
Although
Bays.
although I don't think I've ever bet against Tom Brady. I think we're at the downside of it
Just too many losses.
to where we
Too many
start
injuries.
going against them.
And too much shit going on too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's becoming a circus in Tampa. Oh, nice job by Cooper hanging on to that.
Can they
Hopefully that's not
throw
coming
another
back.
touchdown here
Let's,
for my
let's
fantasy
push
team?
this so we go
Can
out
the
to the second
referees
half.
throw
of this.
another flag like they've done all season? That Thanksgiving game, I wanted to.
Oh
I
my
don't even wanna
God,
I wish I was there.
say.
I was.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall.
Cursing in front of my grandmother, which I never
Mhm.
thought I'd do.
And she's like,
Holy
and she was like, "Oh, Josh."
It's just the
Oh, Josh.
game.
Even better,
Cramp.
I wish you and Kyle would have watched that game together.
Oh.
Because obviously his perspective
You know what,
was
man?
totally different.
I don't normally
compared to
say
yours.
this, but the officials ruined that game.
The officials have ruined a lot of games this year.
You
Anthony
sound,
Brown.
you sound like a Pittsburgh fan right now.
I mean, Anthony Brown had interference maybe on one of those calls. It's whatever.
So we doing Super Bowl predictions right now?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I got Colts, Packers.
Mm.
And
If Peyton was there, I'd say yeah.
I'm taking Green Bay.
From a storybook ending,
And who do we have
that's
in there?
perfect.
Yeah.
Who do we pick in
You
there?
have Green Bay. Who would you pick between Kansas City and Buffalo? I don't know.
Buffalo.
Oh, I took Buffalo. Yeah.
So Buffalo and Green Bay.
Do it.
God damn.
Do it.
I'd love to see Buffalo win.
I would be if that was
Oh,
my pick.
that'd
I would be
amazing.
excited.
Not because I hate Green Bay, but because
No,
I
not
love
at all.
Buffalo.
Not
That
at
Just
all,
seeing
but I'd
Bill's
love
Mafia
to see
smash those
Buffalo.
tables.
one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz.
You probably
having
couldn't
a hell of
find.
a
You probably
season.
couldn't find a foldable table in the
2
United States.
touchdowns.
Is that another?
Dalton
Ah.
Schultz, yeah. Hey, he eclipsed his 8
Wes
points
Schultz
in the
right
first
there.
half.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Wes Schultz.
That's Wes Schultz right there, number 86.
yeah.
So you're picking Buffalo to win it all,
I'd like to. Yep.
Wow, man.
and then Johnny's got Kansas City and Arizona.
And you know what? I've been wrong every time, but
20 points.
I like it.
I'll take it.
Let's go.
He'll be benched now.
Yeah,
Let's
he's not playing the
go.
second half.
Now, if we're going to talk about my Super Bowl team, Arizona versus Kansas City, I think Pat Mahomes gets his second Super Bowl.
Yeah,
ring.
that was.
Yep,
So you're
there's their
sticking
line,
with your
just an extra
preseason
point.
pick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I predicted Arizona, Kansas City being the Super Bowl, and Kansas City wins it.
2 red and white teams.
Yep.
Well, rematch of the first Super Bowl, Green Bay and Kansas City.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just see it turning out the same way.
Green Bay.
Green Bay Packers. Yep. I think Aaron, and that's the thing. I mean, Aaron has always played with a chip on his shoulder, but I think now, especially with all this COVID stuff and everything, and like I said, the interaction the other day about the guy that wouldn't vote for him for MVP, saying that guy's a bum. Honestly, I think Aaron, when he has that chip on his shoulder, he is hard to beat. And honestly, not only that, but I think Green Bay all around, they're just such a complete team right now. And
Yeah,
honestly,
don't do that to Aaron Rodgers because it
No.
makes it worse for the rest of the division.
Yeah.
Well, I would say after 3 hours, we covered it all.
Yeah,
I'd say
we
so.
really have.
did.
Well, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
we were a little long-winded, but we covered everything in some great detail. Who knows when we'll join you again? It's
Right.
always kind
Yeah.
of a random thing.
I think,
Yeah.
and you know what? I was going to bring that up. I think after first round, we'll do it again, and then we'll come back here and
So 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Reconvene.
why not?
All right.
And then before you know it, we'll be here for the draft in
Yep.
April maybe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Talking draft prospects.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'm
good.
in. It's a
Hell
great
yeah.
time coming here.
Yeah. Well, make sure you take the headphones off before you start the music because it's going to blast.
It's going to blast
Yeah.
like a son of a bitch.
All right.
But at any rate, we're signing off. It's the Average Joe's podcast coming to you live from the Tucson Tim Studios.
I would like to do one shout out, the hoodie I'm wearing, because I like to throw out the local
Oh,
guys.
nice.
Bob Donahue.
We're always looking for
Yeah.
sponsors
Yep.
since Evergreen screwed
Yep.
us.
Bob Donahue, Backflow Services Incorporated. He's a local guy around where we're at, and he's a really good guy. But yeah, I just want to throw his name out there quick.
All right. Well, that's a
Thanks for
wrap.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
We'll see you again soon.
Peace.
All right, so some mics are on.